Welcome, heavy metallurgy people. Episode 184. Hope you're doing well. I'm Marty. It's good to see you. And to my left is my partner in crime here, Alan. How you doing?
I'm doing crimey stuff. It's been a busy week, just trying to get things done any way possible. So it definitely feels like we're on the criminal side of things at this point. But ready to settle in. We've got a fun topic that we've talked about for quite a while, and it's finally come together with two really good guests who are both enthusiastic and had asked about doing it. All the planets have aligned, and so we're going to tackle that in a few minutes. But first, Marty, I believe you got some new releases to let folks know about.
I do for sure. Let's get into that. Friday, November 8th. All right, first up, 200 Stab Wounds, Piles of Festering Decomposition re-release on Metal Blade. Second up is The Body with Crying Out of Things on Thrill Jockey. Next up, Pillar of Light, Caldera on Transcending Obscurity Records. Crippled Black Phoenix, The Wolf Changes Its Fur but Not Its Nature on Season of Mist. Delane, Dance with the Devil EP on Napalm. Hey, North of the Rockies, thanks. You're too kind. You rule. Thank you.
Thanks, North.
Man, that album cover just does not say "Listen to Me." I'm sorry.
Not quite.
Sorry, Delane. It just doesn't look like my type of.
Delane usually doesn't say "Listen to me" to me.
No, your wife would say differently, doesn't she?
She likes them more than I do. Yes,
right
but that's a pretty low bar to clear. Among bands in that style, they've just never been one of my favorites.
Right on. All right, Earthburner, Permanent Dawn on M Theory. Impellitteri, War Machine on Frontiers. I Slept on the Moon, Only the Stars Know of My Misfortune on Vineroon Recordings. And for people waiting for the pre-order, they ship from the plant. The records ship from the plant this week. So I'm hoping they're here next week. As soon as they are in, I will get everybody's pre-orders and shirts that they ordered out as soon as I have the product. But this album rules. Definitely check it out if you're into downtrodden and sad type of black metal. Next up, Make Them Suffer. Make Them Suffer on Sharp Tone. Massacre Necrolution on Agonia. Miracle of Sound. Materia Best of 2011 through 2024 on Napalm. Molder, Catastrophic Reconfiguration on Prosthetic. Paragon, Metallation on Massacre. Rivers of Nihil, Hierarchy, re-release on Metal Blade. Boy, Metal Blades is rocking out the re-releases this week.
Yep.
Seven Kingdoms, the Square EP on Reigning Phoenix. I listened to this 3 times today, and I have to say, it's really good. Really
Melissa
good. Really well
likes it.
produced.
I need to check it out. I did not get to hear it today.
The end of it is they do a cover of Mr. Mister's Kyria.
They've been leaning into those 80s covers.
It's great.
Years.
They kind of nail it. Solstafir, Helga Kavol on Century Media. I'm sure I said that wrong. And last but not least, Suadakra, Darken Akred on MDD. So that's that. There you go. There's a list of new releases for the week of, well, this is November 8th, so it was this week. Hope you find something there worth listening to check out. Definitely cool stuff. And let's get our guests out here today.
It is time.
Absolutely. The veteran, one of our friends, of course, Jurgen, from 6 Beers, 9 Wives. I have to remember. He changes it every once in a while. And, of course, our friend Lee over at Heavy Art Talk. Hope you're doing well.
How's it going, guys?
Actually sold a Sex Condor shirt this week to somebody that's in the chat tonight. So
perfect.
Little bit of Lee went to your home and you're wearing it tonight. So
yes, Lee designed the Sex Condor shirt. Just kind of on it. He just kind of took the initiative and did it. He's like, "Hey guys, check this out!" Like, that's freaking awesome.
So let's get into a little bit what's going on with you guys. Lee just put up a video this week, I believe. What's going on over on Heavy Art Talk?
I had an episode with Mark Rudolph. He's like the illustrator for Decibel. So when you get that magazine or even digitally, every magazine there's going to be an illustration of like basically the band that is kind of catching a lot of attention. So he's been doing that for about 14 years. But he also has worked with a lot of other bands. But that episode's on my channel. It was aired yesterday. And then next Saturday, I'm going to have Mark Riddick and Lucas Court. Goes by Shoggoth Kinetics. They're going to be doing a live drawing. We haven't done it in about like 6 months. So it'd be good to have the crew back together and just chatting and drawing.
Those are fun. Those are fun episodes. I think I might. Yeah. Last time I watched you guys do it, I'm sitting there. I'm like, why am I not drawing with them? That would be kind of a fun exercise just to do. But yeah, cool, excellent. Everybody, check out Heavy Art Talk. Link in the description. It's a great channel on the more artistic side of music.
Yeah, we definitely nerd out about like the technical stuff. So.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. And of course, Jurgen, what's been going on with you, my friend?
I'm selling my collection. I sold around 4,000 LPs until now. And when I see you talking about new releases or new re-releases, I'm glad I'm not into collecting anymore.
Right.
I have a couple of reissues that I'm going to replace with originals. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
So everybody, when he goes out there and says crazy things like I'm selling my collection, he is hanging on to some stuff. So when I first heard this, I was just like, my brain exploded and ran out my ear. I'm like, what is he doing? I must go over there and intervention. Get the guys from the UK and I'll fly out there too and make some changes, have a little discussion. But
you know, there's plenty of stuff left. So don't worry about that.
Right on. Well, it's good to see you as always, and of course, Alan, what's going on over at Let's Talk Metal? You're the mothership for you, for sure.
Well, yep. This week we had top 10 German power metal things, one from each year in the 90s, kind of following up on last week's stream. So folks have had fun with that. And I've got a couple of things I've been holding on to. One of them might come up for this coming Tuesday. I'm way overdue to dig into the old stack of US metal demos, so we might do some demo tracks for Tuesday. I think it's time that one surfaced again.
Fun.
Yep, bands that nobody has heard of or thought of in ages, but yeah, there's some really cool bands that just never made it past the demo stage. So we'll check out some of their tunes.
Yep, and this past week, Alan just did a top 10 German power metal episode, which was a lot of fun.
Indeed.
He finally got his Blind Guardian rocks off in there.
All the Blind Guardians. Yep.
So, gentlemen,
yeah, he only did one major mistake, and he mentioned Ed Guy.
I like that Ed Guy album. I will not apologize for it.
Yeah. I've got some weird experiences with that Toby guy.
I'm not surprised. He seems like he could be a goofy one to interact with.
Yeah, he was a referee on a band contest we did in the mid-90s. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was the one who rated us out. Otherwise, we would have won.
Oh, there it is. The truth comes out. The truth comes out. Not bitter at all after all these years.
No bias whatsoever.
I don't know. I've never seen an actual interview with him in English, but if he does it in German, he's just he tries to be funny, and yeah, well, he isn't. He's a really, really goofy guy.
Seems that way, yeah. And my wife follows some of his social media stuff, but yeah, he's always seems very, very goofy.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Stefano asks, did he say why he's selling his records? He didn't really say. Maybe he'll elaborate now.
It's just getting too much, and there's so much shit I will never listen to again.
Cleaning house.
Don't worry. I've got around 2,500 or 3,000 records left. Not to speak of the CDs. I'm not selling my CDs, and I've got 4,000 of them. So
you're good.
And I doubled up a lot in the last 10 years, buying reissues of the Destruction catalog or the Creator catalog, and I'm gonna keep my originals, of course, but I don't need the reissues.
Yep. Right on. Well, gentlemen, why are we here tonight? What's the point behind this little conversation?
One word: tacos. I mean logos. Sorry, I had Mexican for dinner, so.
I did too. I had a massive box of tacos from Taco Bell. I guess you can't call that Mexican, really. So
Mexico might be offended by that.
yeah, for sure.
But yes, we are talking about band logos and bands who changed their logo. We've made a lot of comments in past episodes about when bands changed a logo that, that's when you can kind of tell maybe the music went downhill, or that's when all of a sudden they had haircuts and very different look to them, maybe going in a different direction. But that's not true for every band that changes their logo. Sometimes they actually stay about the same, or sometimes they get better. So yeah, we're going to sort of look at bands' logos before and after the changes, and talk about if we think it coincided with any big change in musical direction or not. And we've brought Lee on board to help kind of also walk us through any artistic things of note. Sometimes logo changes might have a better aesthetic appeal, or be easier to work with on merch. Things that we're not thinking about, but that Lee would pick up on pretty easy.
I'll try my best.
You better. That's why you're here.
Should have got Mark Riddick for it, man. No, but I was thinking along the same lines.
I have to say, though, as I was going through picking stuff out, I was kind of because the first thing goes to my head, okay, all these bands, because they change sound, and screw them, we're mature now. Well, looking at it, some of it is maybe the logos were shit to begin with, or very juvenile.
Yeah.
And as some of these bands started to get bigger and bigger, they wanted a bit more of a mature look, or it's a design choice, which is often, especially if they outsource to have a design company do their layouts and stuff, they try to make the logos more legible. I mean, before the internet, your logo sitting on a record store shelf is the only sort of marketing you maybe had. I mean, and if you're flipping through and you can't read the logo, chances are you're deterring a potential sale. So you want to make sure when you're flipping through, even if you have a logo, it's a logo that's a great example of never really having to change as creator. You can read it and it looks cool and it fits. It can fit at the top. It can fit anywhere in a piece of art and look fine. Whereas others, which we'll get in, I'm rambling. Sorry. Anybody want to add to the conversation here?
I've got something. I think Lee would agree on some artworks. If you look at the artwork and you use the old classic logo on that, it wouldn't really fit. I've got one example. I bought the Sacred Reich Heel album when it came out, and it had just a normal font, and it was reissued by Metal Blade a couple of months ago, maybe a year ago, and they used the Sacred Reich logo, the classic logo, and it just didn't fit on the cover. I don't know if it's just me because I'm used to the old stuff, or is it changes the whole package.
Yeah, definitely.
I
think like in some cases, think about like a classical painting. Like a lot of that stuff's in public domain, so you could like use it. Sometimes it might benefit from having like just a really nice typeface instead of the logo, kind of like what you're talking about. So I was thinking similar things. Like I wrote down 5 reasons for like logo changes. One of them would be like just complete makeover to show a new sound. So it's like a commercial reason, like signifying new direction. That's probably the one that gets everybody the most angry. But there's also number 2, which I think of it more as like temporary change to fit an album cover or like a tour. But it's like, you just know it's more for artistic reasons and it's maybe marketed that way to the fans. Now, it's kind of hard to like know between the one or the two because a band could think they're doing the artistic thing, but it comes across as commercial. And then like we were talking about, number 3 is like you got the logo and then each version, the attempt is just an aesthetic improvement on that logo, not like reinventing the wheel every time. And then the fourth is just like legal reasons for logo change, like ownership of it. But those are the main reasons that I found doing some research.
Yeah.
Ooh, good list. Yeah. And I guess one thing we should note too is that, while, like Marty said, some bands never really change their logo, some bands never really adopt a logo either. One band that jumped to mind looking at the shelf was Wasp. I think Wasp has had a different font and a different logo on every single album they've ever made. I don't think they ever duplicated, or if they did, very few times. And that works out okay for them too. So while we usually think of metal bands always have that logo, there are some that have just shifted almost every album. Voivod has changed logos a ton of times as well. They never stuck to just one particular design. So it's not required to have a logo for big success, but it is something that is linked pretty inextricably to a lot of bands.
Well, the name like Wasp is such an iconic name. It almost is more important than the logo. You know what I mean? So it could work in any sort of look, I guess. And
yeah,
it's a good
Although
point, though,
it's
Alan.
interesting. If they had a logo, would we still think that, or would we think like Wasp has to look like this because it's looked that way for 30 years? I don't know.
I've got a question on the Wasp logo. Do they every time they use the logo? Do they have the dots in between?
I'm sure
not.
They do, but I don't know. I can't guarantee that off the top of my head. I'm assuming
Pretty commonly that way, though.
So maybe that's the dots in between are more important than the logo or the font in between. Just for recognition.
Well,
I mean that's serious.
I mean they always are pretty specific in interviews or any kind of write-ups that they tend to make sure that it is always W period A period S period P period, not that they don't omit the dots on anything official that I can think of. But chat, if somebody knows to the contrary, definitely throw it up there.
If there's dots on this logo, on this cover, I can't really tell unless it's down in the flames. But, oops, I don't know why that's not blowing up for you guys. I don't know. I suck at technology. It just is the way it is. But, blowing up the Wasp logo here, it does not look like it has the dots. But I don't know. Yeah, it's like the umlauts on the Motorhead logo. Those are very important.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. I think Johnny Touch only put out one thing, TJ, so that doesn't even count.
And it's always had the same logo on it.
Yep, they never changed it. They never reissued it. Remastered logo featuring a remastered
expanded 2 CD edition with a new logo.
Well, I have a pile of stuff. Go ahead.
I've got one for you. Halloween. I was first. Drink.
Cheers. I listened to Halloween today.
One thing I'll be interested to see is if we notice any patterns about certain, styles of metal sticking to a logo versus other. Because like my first reaction was that a lot of power metal bands tend to keep their logo long term. But there's going to be exceptions, of course. But a lot of like Halloween and Blind Guardian, they never really alter them compared to some other genres where I was pulling lots of bands off the shelf. It's like every other band in this section of the record collection seems to have gone through a logo change, but the power metal examples I found were few and far between. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Did you all notice that when you were pulling things?
Well, I'm not familiar with every Edguy album, but to me it seems
they kept their logo.
They kept the logo, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Gravedigger.
Yeah.
Gravediggers, kept theirs. Yep. Now Rage has changed theirs over time, so there are going to be some exceptions, and we won't go through more because that might spoil something somebody wants to show.
What's up, Chromie? How you doing, man? Yep. We're gonna be talking to you not this next week, the week after. Keep your schedule open. I'll talk to you maybe this weekend. So a little of that. Sorry. Actually, As a kid, I've always really, even if it's not a great logo, I'm a guy that the logo's got to be there. If this is your logo, this is your brand. It bugs me when bands fart around with it. It just does. Just from a, just be true. I mean, it worked for you back then. Why isn't it still relevant? I mean, if you approved it to be on your first album, it should be just as, unless it's just a hard logo to like an In Flames or At the Gates, tall and skinny. It's always going to be stuck in a corner of and that might take away from the flow of a design of an album. I don't know, but it always bugged me when they switched to fonts. It was usually, for me, the writing was on the wall, changes were coming, and that's usually the way it goes. But let's get into it. We probably have a lot to go through. Lee, we'll start with you since you're up in that corner. 91 people here. Cheers, everyone. It's good to see everyone as always. Thanks for joining us on Friday, as always.
Right.
Lee.
Sweet. So I'm hoping this shows up good for the audience. And HC Donut already brought up this one, and I wanted to lean more towards like newer bands because I was just kind of thinking that might be kind of an area that won't be touched as much. So I did want to chronologically go through the Worm logos, which, you know, their first like major release was 2020, so they're really not that old. But first logo you got here. So this was for Gloom Lord. Each album, and even more than each album and release, they've had alternate logos. So this one, you know, it's definitely got more of the death metal type feel to it. For Foreverglade, they switched to this one then, which I personally like quite a bit. I think it just like has good, like, balanced sides there. It's really not very legible at all, but it just looks pretty gnarly and sick. Then they shifted to something slightly more legible for, what's it called? Blue Nothing EP. So that would be this one here. Then this one, to my knowledge, has not been used on a release yet, but has been used on like merch designs. This one, to me, like, this one's kind of like, okay, you got a little bit of death metal, but definitely starting to get a little more black metal. Then you're starting to get to like some kind of more occult, semi-symphonic looking black metal. Then for that split that they did with what Dream Unending, what's the name of that again? Starpath. They went like full Dimmu Borgir ripoff here, but it still looks pretty sick. But that's, you know, 5 logos for a band that's only like, I mean, I know they did some stuff before 2020, but they're really not that old. And kind of coming back to like the categorization, I feel like this is that number 2 where it's like a temporary change that's trying to basically translate, okay, what is the sound I'm going for with this album? Because Worm has shifted from being death doom-ish to really more and more black metal band. So I think it's all about the artistic reason. And I will say, I think they do a good job with design. Even if it is like obviously an homage to past stuff, like they have good design taste in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents on the Worm stuff.
Oh, that's a good example. Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with a variation on a theme and doing, you know, a little bit of a difference. It's still a hand-drawn logo. I think the big crime for me here is when they go from a cool logo or just a illustrated logo to a font.
Yep.
It's just it's such a cop-out. Jurgen, what's your first shot here?
I've got one for you. There's a book. It's called
nice.
Lord of the Logos. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Nope.
It's by a Belgian guy called Christoph Speidel.
Yep.
He did the Disaster logo. He did the Emperor.
He's done a ton.
And there's really nothing written in here. It just has
Wow.
logos
So many.
and
Oh,
a couple of photos.
That is kind of cool. It's kind
Nothing written in here.
no.
Christoph Speidel is a friend of mine since 1998, something like that. So 25 years, yeah.
There's not even a little write-up on the artist in there. It's just logos.
It's just logos drawn by him.
Wow.
And this one has Let's see, 240 pages.
Wow. With
Just
multiple
logos.
logos on each page.
Yeah.
Finally, a book I can read. Maybe not. Some of those are maybe a little illegible. Of course, he's always really good at making them legible.
Very nice, Stefano.
That's
Ryan,
funny.
Stefano's giving you a run for your money on the jokes tonight.
Yeah, what's going on, Ryan?
So, okay, my first example is pretty easy because the band only put out 2 albums and they used 2 different logos. There you go.
Very different.
And we should talk about musical differences. This one is primate metal. I don't know how I should call it.
Yeah, it's great though. I enjoy it. Good stuff.
And this one has more of a hardcore approach. And could you imagine? That's what I talked about earlier. That album cover with that logo, it just wouldn't work.
Yep.
And the other way around, it would have even be worse.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
That font just on the black cover.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're talking about images as well. On the first album, they all had their gear on and the manowar just over the top. On the second one, they look pretty bare bones, and even Pete Steele has gotten a haircut.
Yep.
Yeah, so the image changed, the music changed.
Well, he was a skinhead for a minute. He had his head shaved for a while.
Yeah, right, yeah. So this is my first example.
Great. All right. Alan, what have you got for your first run?
I want to start with a classic band who had 2 classic logos. One they used early, and they switched to what became their more iconic logo, but both are good. And that would be Judas Priest. So they start in the 70s, and they've got the very kind of stylized script for the first few albums, Rockarola, Sin After Sin, etc. And then they switch to this logo, the on the diagonal kind of. I often think of it as like the razor blade logo with the little jagged points under all the letters. And this one I think is sort of tied not just to a little bit of a style shift right around this era with Stained Class and especially Hellbent for Leather. They're definitely kind of modernizing their sound more and more, getting closer to that what becomes the template for heavy metal in the 80s. But part of it's also they're changing their look. Around this time is when they start going for more of the leather look, especially into Hellbent for Leather, of course. Before that, back in this era, they look a lot more 70s, a lot more of kind of the big flowing flowery kind of shirts and all of that stuff. And then pretty soon after that, it's all leather. So the logo change kind of matches the change in image the band was going for, and the change in sound that they were going for too. So yeah, but I also think it's cool that both logos look very good and work. I think this logo suits the early albums quite nicely, and this one definitely suits the direction they went into as they headed into the 1980s.
Can I add something real quick?
Please do.
Of course.
Here, pop me up real quick. Forgot about these.
Yeah, wasn't gonna.
Those don't register. Sorry.
Yeah, those happened too.
Yeah. That was it. I just figured someone was going to show that and they were going to forget about the Jugulator logo.
Never forget, says Lee. Never forget.
Yeah. Well, now I feel bad, and so I'll take a drink while Marty shows his first one.
I'm going to kind of start out kind of the same way that Lee did here. I felt this to me is a logo change, a continuous logo change that works, makes sense, matches the band, because the band really isn't doing anything to change their sound. But we're going to start off with Autopsy. You got some early demo stuff, very immature logo, as they go, get a little bit of money, a label support. The logo starts to take on more of a gory visual thing. And whatever changes they make, it's still very much Autopsy, and it still very much works with the art. This one's got a bunch of little perverse characters in different states of impalement. Matches this album very well. Of course, you got the ever popular Shit Fun album. I've got other stuff on vinyl and whatnot, but I mean, still now they've kind of settled on a logo they've been using throughout the last few releases because it works. It's a very easy logo to stretch along the top. It works in any artwork. Just change the color of it. It works. And this is an example of bands that mess around with their logo from time to time, and it works. It's totally fine. Hey, Courtney, what's up? Hey, Mel. Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, and with Autopsy, if you look at the logos on the newer albums, the details in it, they change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, they always do something a little bit different. I think that's really good. I always really like this cover. Really kind of gross, and
it's awesome.
They nailed it on this one for sure.
Amazing Ben Scott art.
Yeah.
What's that demo compilation there? I've never seen that.
It's Ridden with Disease. Isn't that the demo? And there's
2 demos.
Service for a Vacant Coffin's on it live, Severed Survival live, and then there's 7 tracks. I don't know if it's...
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
Yep,
Oh.
Jurgen's right. It's 2 demos.
Yeah.
There's 2 demos.
Does it say where the 2 tracks are the live tracks are recorded?
Oh, I can't see shit. I am not going to be able to get you that information because I don't have... Oh, wait. Recorded live in Hamburg, Germany on 3/16/1990.
Okay, I've seen that tour. That's why I'm asking.
You're
Oh,
probably
cool.
at that show.
Melanie would like you to hold that up one more time, please, Marty.
Uh-oh, something Melanie doesn't have?
No, something Melanie is about to have.
This came out a long time ago on Necroharmonic, Melanie. I don't know if Roy still has copies of this or not. Probably not, but yeah, this is old stuff. Show that again, but slower.
Turn it around. slowly.
Turn it around. Too fast. Slow down. Lee, you're up next.
Cool. This is one that I didn't immediately think of, but Wolves in the Throne Room has 2 logos that they use. With this one, I mean, from my perspective, it's not as much that they switched logos and like completely like, have like dismissed this one and they only use this one. It's just like probably what Jurgen was talking about earlier, where when it makes sense aesthetically on an album, like just to fit the whole thing, they'll use this more legible logo. And then when they want something that's just kind of like the logo takes a lot of the attention, they can use this like traditional, stick Cascadian looking type of logo. But I've always liked both of these. I think they're both beautiful, designs. And they might actually be in that Lord of Logos book. I mean, it looks a lot like his work.
Both of them could
it
work
is.
very well for a tramp stamp tattoo, too. I would say they're probably about a 4 on the tramp stamp scale.
I hadn't ever thought of it that way, and now I'll never look at a Wolves in the Throne Room album quite the same.
Especially the original one. It's like I've never. It's like chaos.
Yeah,
I don't
perfect
know.
rectangle composition.
Yep. Yeah. And then the second one with the nice kind of gangsta font, you could have an arrow pointing down. Perfect tramp stamp logo.
Yeah. Lee, how much have they used that bottom logo? I know it was on. Was it Black Cascade?
Black Cascade.
It's
and
on
then,
that EP too. It's on an EP. Hold
Oh
on.
yeah.
I think it's on the back of the newest album too. The newest one, I don't know if it has any logo on the front, but I think on the back it had it. Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. It looked a lot like his work.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's in there.
Good call.
Where is it? Malevolent Grain EP. Same one on that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot about that one.
But they
That's
did
good
come
EP.
back to use it for like a live Roadburn album for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like they have kind of flopped back and forth. And I still think they do merch with this.
Yeah, probably so.
All right, good one, Jurgen.
Let's move over to Sweden.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got the first two albums by Hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
These two albums are fucking glare. These two are still recorded as a 5-piece with Marcel Bromberg on vocals. After Marcel left, they did one EP called Inferior Devotees where they used that logo. But these were songs that were written for the 5-piece lineup. So when they moved over to being a 4-piece, they had just that normal font. Because I think the old logo, it wouldn't have fitted on here.
And the logo is, if you look at that logo, it's not centered right. It looks like it wants to be symmetrical, but the centering of it's off. Something always bugged me about that logo.
Yeah, it looks like the Y is a step apart, something like that.
Yeah, the spacing's all off.
Spacing.
Yeah. And on the fourth album, they got that logo. And if I'm correct, they are still using that one. So they found their style on here. The fourth dimension is a little bit of a mix between the old stuff and the more mellow, doomy, atmospheric stuff. This one is, classic Hypocrisy style, like they play it until this day.
Always remind me of like the X-Files, that logo where they like spread out the letters a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Melanie, I'm shocked that CD's still available. Cool. Very cool. We're already costing Melanie money, so.
As I said, something Melanie is about to have.
Yeah. All right.
It's available on LP, but with a different cover.
Alan.
Okay, well, Lee and Jurgen have both stolen things out of my stack, so it's all good. I picked extras. Let's see. Marty mentioned bands that go from a cool logo to a font. Let's cover one of the most infamous incidents of that happening, and that would be Amorphous. You start with a very recognizable logo from the early days, and after this album, you get this, which is, just the name in lowercase letters. And apparently, just to really make this more egregious, apparently this change was a mistake. That when they were kind of doing like, the art mock-ups for Elegy, they just kind of, put this here as a folder, but then the artwork got sent out to be finalized and nobody ever took that off. And so the art department just used they were sent. And they're like, oh yeah, we kind of forgot to put the logo back on. Oops. And well, here we are 30 years later almost, and they're still using that. So yeah, so Marty, in this case, obviously there is a change in sound here with and look and even lineup going on. But I think, at least for me, it's not really a good or bad change. It's kind of a lateral move. I like what they were doing before. But at least this album, I really like this one as well. So, the different logo lines up with other changes in the band, but I don't think musically there's a big drop-off at this point. But I don't know. What do y'all think?
Well, I feel like it's a very different album.
I think it's a very different album, too. But that original logo, if you look at it, paint it silver and put it in the center of that circle, that Celtic knot or whatever, the way the old logo is, it still would have worked. It would have worked perfectly well in there. It might have been a bit busier, but still legible. You could still tell what it was. I don't know. I think that's an album I got. I hated it, but of course it's so catchy. How could you not like it after 3 listens? So prime example though. What were you going to say, Lee? Further on that or no?
I mean, in some ways, I feel like it. Maybe because I've seen that so many times, it's hard for me to imagine the old logo on that there's so much blue and silver and all that stuff too. But but the conflicting thing too is like all my like graphic designer and like typographer friends that like nerd out about fonts. Like I know when bands change logos to the fonts, it's like it's not as metal, it's not as cool like in this scene. But in a lot of cases, they're actually good logos. They're just like boring and not, kind of true to what it originally was. So like I get the aesthetics of like, like here, I'll just go real quick because it's right in front of me. But, like typographically speaking, that's actually pretty solid. It's just not near as cool as that, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So I kind of see both sides of it. But yeah, from like the metalhead part of my brain, I'm like, yeah, dude, why aren't you printing merch with this? This would sell out like crazy because, I mean, old Dimmu is like pretty cool, man. Like Stormblast and stuff, like that's some really interesting black metal that sounds like nothing else, in my opinion.
Gotta
Very
say, though,
piano-driven.
that Dimmu logo, though, from a design perspective, for like a T-shirt, it's tough to put the top of a shirt.
Yeah.
It's skinny and long, and it just takes up too much real estate. You almost have to go to the typography there.
Yeah. There could be a case there too. I mean, with a band like that, where they start expanding to a bigger audience, if, like you were saying before, Marty, if your logo is a little too illegible, some people are just going to flip past it and not care, or they might even be looking for your album and just not recognize that if they're not really familiar with the logo. Like, I was hoping they'd have a Dimmu Borgir album, and they did, and you just you couldn't read it.
So there's people that nerd out on fonts, man. That's a sad, lonely world, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Marty just cost us 2
friends.
subscribers. Thanks, Marty.
Man. Oh, I really like what Carcass did here. I really like the fact that they went to. Anyway, I'll get there when I get there.
But speaking of Dimmu Borgir and Stormblast, even on the re-recording they did in the late 90s, early 2000s, they used the new
logo.
version.
Yeah. And then in that recording isn't nearly as good.
It didn't need to happen. It did
Yeah.
not need to happen. They probably did to get the rights back. Anyway, is it my turn?
Covenant would be another example.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Covenant, the Covenant.
The Covenant with a K, Covenant.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, I just shown but this to me is the biggest, the most heinous example of take one of the coolest logos out there, fits at the top of any album artwork. You change the background squiggles and it'll fit in any color scheme you want to that. And I'm sorry. This, if you made it white and classed it up a little bit, it would have worked on here just perfectly. You would have shrunk the Giger picture a little bit to make it fit at the top. I mean, I'm sorry. That's not my favorite Giger piece. It just isn't. And this isn't my favorite Carcass album. I like this album, but it's not my favorite. And this to me is Carcass. Look and sound. This to me is, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Sounds like Swedish death metal a little bit with Carcass mixed in it. And the loss of one of the best logos in metal was always a stick in my craw. For sure.
We talked about copyrights a little bit earlier. Probably, or maybe it is the case that they used the Giger artwork, and Giger had a little say in that, not to use the logo
because it would detract from his piece. Is that what you're thinking? Maybe.
Potentially, I'm thinking of the other pieces like Celtic Frost,
Triptychon.
Timagathiron. I mean, Triptychon has their logo on one of his pieces.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's also like a bad font. Like we're talking about fonts. Like the Carcass Heartwork font is very boring. Like there's no style or editing to it.
No. And their logo was in transit before this happened too, because Descanting and Salubrious had, let me blow myself up here, this block letters with the gore in the center, which I could tolerate a bit better, but still it's not this logo. It's just not the same. This here is, it looks the way you expect the band to sound. You know what I mean? Yet it's still legible, and it just works. It's just a good, it will fit on any piece of artwork, which they've gone back to using again. Other than the last album, they didn't put the logo on the cover, I don't think. But they still, on all their shirts and merch and other parts in the layout, they're still using the old logo. So, all right. Glad I got that heartwork off my chest thing, because that always bugged the shit out of me. Lee.
All right. I'm sure a lot of us are already thinking it. I'm going to cover it if it's all right. But Death.
Yep.
So did a little bit of research, and I could be wrong because there's been quite a bit of shifts, but technically, I'm doing the math. I got 6 different logos here. I'll try to point out the little differences. So this is what is considered like the prototype. This then is the demos before Scream Bloody Gore. And sorry, it's a little bit grainy. Then we have Scream Bloody Gore and why am I blanking? Yeah, Leprosy. And Spiritual Healing too. Then this would be Human and Individual Thought Patterns. And then this one here, where am I? Is very similar, but if you notice here, there's not the fire there anymore. This was symbolic only. So it's just every time it's breaking it down, there's also no blood on the scythe. And then you have Sound of Perseverance, so the final one. So basically stripped all the way through, very clean. So it's like a very interesting progression, and less death metal every single time coincides with their change in sound. I mean, I think it's like, even if you have your preference of which is the better logo, it all makes sense to me, like the shift. So I just think it's kind of cool to like look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, and Chuck, reportedly always, after a while wished he could have ditched the name Death. Since he couldn't ditch the name, he at least just kept, cleaning up the logo more and more as he went.
All right.
I was away for a second, but maybe you have forgotten that one. So on Symbolic, they had not the upside down cross, but the hooded guy is still there. That would make one more, and you've got that little thingy, the Death by Metal demo.
You just had to flex that, man.
He kept that. He was real happy with that. A. It's on all of them. Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Jurgen. Go again.
Okay. This next one, classic doom metal. We had that one on the first couple of albums, all of the Messiah years, and then the band had another singer change and a slightly musical change, and they went to that, which is pretty boring.
Yeah.
Yep.
They got back to using the original Candlemass logo for the comeback album, the white one.
Yep.
Entitled Candlemass, and they used it since, if I'm correct.
Pretty sure they've stuck, to the classic logo on all the newer stuff.
So you've got the lineup change, the slight change in the musical direction. I'm pretty sure they used something different for the 2 transitional albums with Only Little Life Edling on it.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, It's a little different for that one.
So I stole another one from you.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. We're all on the same wavelength tonight, it would seem.
All right, Alan,
All right. Well, let's do another
better
example.
pull out
of,
your B League.
I pulled a lot of extras because I knew we'd have some overlap. Let's do another one that went from kind of classic logo to font and have circled back to classic logo. Someone mentioned it in the chat earlier, but Immolation got, very good spiky logo in the early days. And then for a very long time, you have a font. And there's not really a huge stylistic shift or anything. I mean, Immolation's, consistent. They change a little, with time, but yeah, it's not like all of a sudden the band was going into new metal or trying to become chart-topping success or anything. So I never have really known why this band in particular decided to give up on the classic logo. Some death metal bands, like we talked with Carcass, they kind of make sense. There's a sound style. They're cleaning things up a lot. Okay, the logo was included. Same with Death. Makes sense. I don't have any idea what the decision-making process was for Immolation. Maybe one of y'all or somebody in the chat does. Why did they go away from the logo for so long?
Their original logo, although it's iconic, I've never loved it, and it's again one of those types of logos you have to relegate to a corner. Whereas a font logo, well, that one album you showed,
Stuck in the corner.
it's stuck in the corner, but it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
No. I don't know, Lee. Any thoughts on this one?
Dying Fetus did the same thing, and I feel like maybe it's just a matter of looking different than all the other death metal bands. I feel like they also went slightly more. They've always been Immolation, but with the production sound changes, it's kind of a little bit more of that technical clean sound. Mm-hmm. And then returning to the old logo, that could just be like fan service and just trying to change things up and start a conversation. But I feel you. For some reason, I've also never completely loved the logo either, the original. I don't know why either. Maybe it's just because there's not enough detail to it for how pointy it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Immolation changed their logo for the Close to a World Below.
And Failures for Gods before that was the first time they used the caps.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. That still has the Andreas Marshall cover. Yeah, all right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite covers. I love that.
It's a great cover. But they kept the logo on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And they always used it for the concert shirts.
Yep. They knew they knew it was iconic and it needed to stay in some context in their design.
With that in mind, is there a possibility that it's more like label wanting a cleaner emblem to again help with sales or something? Because like you just indicated there, Marty, the band clearly still kept it. They still liked it. They were still using it for other stuff, but they weren't using it for the front of the albums, which is one of the biggest places you would think they would use it.
Right. And you look at Failures for Gods, it would have worked right in the middle. They could have put that logo right up there in the clouds, made it pink, like this color accent right here, made it pink. It'd have been cool. It'd have been fine. And that font and sticking the name of the album up underneath, it's kind of lame. It kind of takes away from the cover for me a bit. And it's a great, like Lee said, it's great cover artwork.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unreal, man.
I mean, the cover says, "I am death metal," and the font says, "I work at Kinko's."
Yeah. I design cereal boxes for a living.
Yes. I have mastered Windows 95.
Yep.
Yeah, but Dying Fetus was a little bit the same. They changed the logo for the Killing on Adrenaline, and but on that tour they still used.
Just so we have it.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep talking though. I just want to show.
Yeah, they still used the old logo for concert shirts.
Yeah, and like it's
So
been said in the chat with the newest album, Let Them Beg for Death, they like overlaid it, which was kind of cool.
Mhm. Mhm.
At the same time, though, man, just like if your band is Dying Fetus and you put it in Impact font, it's like that's even more of a bold decision. You know what I mean? If you're wearing that shirt, there's nothing to hide behind.
Yeah, there's no. What does
Yeah.
your shirt say? It's like, oh.
So it's more
Yeah.
shocking, really. Which
Yeah.
I thought was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You're not sneaking that one past Grandma at Thanksgiving.
No. Pass the green bean cast. Dying fetus. Yeah. All right. I think
Green bean casserole, the devil's dish.
deliciousness. All right. I think Alan just did the immolation, and I'm going to jump into instance of a band changing their sound. And did they have to change the logo? No, because it's essentially a font that has been made into a logo, and it's iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Left-hand path, absolutely perfect. And then there you go, a really crappy. Granted, it's not necessarily a font; it's just lame. They could have kept the Wolverine blues at the bottom. That's fine, but the logo, the way it's supposed to be, at the top in that color would have been perfect, absolutely fine. But as they went on, they got this back, sort of. They adaptations of it. They'd curve it or do whatever to it, clean it up a little bit, streamline it, make it a little bit more record store rack friendly, I guess. I don't know. But this is always, and there, even though this is a change in sound, I still like this record. I think it's a good record. Is it Left Hand Path? No, of course not. But riffs are great. Songwriting's great. The groove is awesome. Yeah, they figured out how to write more catchy songs. Clandestine was a riff salad type of album. So this is quite a different step away from Clandestine. But anyway, Entombed.
This is an interesting point from Jack. Lee, what do you think about bands mixing fonts like this? Is this something that artists cringe at, or is it perfectly
Well,
cool?
I feel like if you do it well and you're thinking about like the balance of the logo and stuff, it actually is a good thing because it makes it unique. If you're just sticking with just the Old English font and not making any variations, then I don't know. You basically have like a Bathory logo, you know?
Yeah, they took the Old English font and made it a little bit more evil here. I think it's really cool what they did with it.
Yeah. But yeah,
Looking
you
at
can
it now,
mess it
that
up
D
pretty
looks
easy.
a little bigger than the E. Of course, you flip it around, that E is a D as well. So, anyway, good shit. All right, Lee.
So this one's a variation off Old English font as well. And it falls in that category of keeping in the same lane, and it's always subjective, but an aesthetic improvement. And that would be Gatecreeper. So on Sonoran Deprivation and earlier, so this would be 2016 and earlier, they had this logo. And then from then on, they've had this more spiky, a little less leaning on the Old English kind of feel. And I don't know, for me, I just like it better.
It's essentially the same flow, too. It looks like they
Yeah.
kept the T and the P the same.
The
They
bats,
just-
the
yeah.
bat wings.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The spiky edge, I feel like, just is more death metal. This just has a little bit more of like a... For some reason, I always thought this kind of reminded me of like a skateboarding company. I don't know
look at
what it is.
Lee, look at it. It's a tribute to this. It's a tribute to Entombed.
Exactly, the Old English with
Yeah,
the...
with the outline.
Yep.
Yep, the G and complete.
Yeah, I really like
Tribute.
the new Gatecreeper logo, or new, 7 years in, but I think it is an improvement, just personally speaking.
Right on. Okay. Jurgen.
Just a little bit in between. I just read a comment about the Nuclear Assault. Up until that album, they used this logo,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, the other one is that, but you still have the original logo on that.
You know
on
why?
that,
You know
12
why?
flag.
I'm going to say it right now. This is probably a Chris Barnes thing. Dan Lilker's not in the band anymore. I wonder if Dan Loker designed that logo, and once he was out, they had to do something different.
Could be. Yep.
Yeah, maybe, but it's still there.
It's a weird decision.
It is still there. Yeah, that is a weird decision. Shit, I never noticed
Why
that.
not
You're
just
right.
make the flag a bigger part of the cover, and then that's just the logo? Like, I don't.
Because that flag is fucking stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a bad cover.
You couldn't make that bigger because the clown is drawn that poorly.
Yeah.
But I just read that in the comments. My next pick would be Gorefest. They used that for the demo.
Classic logo.
They used it for the debut album.
Mm-hmm. Preach.
Yeah, they used it for the Falls album.
Their crowning achievement.
And then, which is, in my opinion, their crowning achievement.
No, you are lying. You are a dirty German liar. That is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Marty,
That,
maybe
that stands for get fucked.
But
Erase this from our catalog and get fucked. Sorry. Go ahead.
it's not all about to erase the logo because it's on the back.
Ugh.
But they up until the end they just use the normal font.
That's a good comeback record.
Yeah, it is.
The
Yeah,
album
yeah.
after it, their last album, Rise to Ruin, is fucking awesome. It's
Oh, yeah.
right in
It
league
is.
with False. Right in league. They ended on a victory.
On a high note. Yeah. I had to pull that just because of Marty. Marty, you said the CD is always coming back to you.
I've gotten rid of it twice, and it's come back to me. I currently have 2 copies of it in my house. Every time I get rid of it, it comes back. What?
You want the vinyl?
No thanks. I'm good, thank you. Hey, North Rockies, thanks. You didn't have to do that again, man. Come on. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, North. And you're right about the Arcturus logo. Yes.
That's an awful record. Anyway, ugh. Alan, cleanse our palate.
Piece of Paper is a good song.
Which one?
Piece of Paper.
I knew their copy, their cover of Audubon was kind of a symbol of thing. Even though I like Kraftwerk, I didn't like Gorefest's cover of Audubon. I was not a fan of that. That was a bad, and I knew something was going wrong over there. Something was wrong. Yep, that's where we got that from. All right, Alan.
Yeah, seeing that made me flashback. Remember, around 95, somehow, maybe from the local record store, or maybe it was thrown in a CD order, I had one of like the big full-size posters given to me of the Erase cover art.
Get fucked. The
GF cover. Like I'm actually glad I don't have any spot on my wall to put this on because it was too big. It was a big freaking poster, and just looking, I'm just like, that. I don't know what that sounds like, but I don't think I'm going to like it. And I was right when I finally heard it.
Yep. Lost all of their fire and all their. They lost everything on that album. It was a gamble. It was due to Entombed. I blame Entombed. Not everybody could do what Entombed did successfully. They just couldn't. Desultory is another one of those bands that tried. That Swallow the Snake album, my God, what a crappy album.
Yeah, but there was a lineup change that hurt in that case quite a bit too. Yeah, they lost their main songwriter before that album.
Right.
Let's see. Let's do this one next. Yeah, classic Canadian death metal with Gorguts. Now, this is an acceptable old school death metal logo. It was never a personal favorite.
I like it.
It was always like, it's fine. It's not bad, but it was always just kind of like, well, it's fine. It's not too messed up. It's got the G and the S are kind of symmetrical. There's not a whole lot happening in the middle. It's just like, yeah, it's okay. But yeah, when they came back, you had this logo. And I'm not claiming this is world, endingly good or anything. I do like this one better. Somehow, like having the big G and S on the end, it, kind of keeps with the idea of having the oversized first and last letters from this logo. I just like the style of this one. It makes it somehow the whole logo seems a bit taller, so that it stretches a little more this way and doesn't feel like it stretches. It's more vertical, a little more vertical, a little less horizontal. And somehow it just kind of fits the direction they went in. Coming up with these much more technical, deeper albums that were harder to digest. I think this logo fits the mood of those a little better than this one would have. So, I mean, you've got a completely different lineup, except for Luc Lemay. You've got a change in sound and direction. You've got a bunch of years in between the two. So, multiple reasons they would do something different. But yeah, for me, I do prefer the newer logo here compared to that one. So, yeah, Captain asked earlier if we would find an example of a band who changed the logo to something better. I'd say Gorget's, it's not a huge improvement, but I'd say it's at least a moderate improvement over the original.
New logo 5 on the tram stamp list, a chart.
I feel like with that one, the original logo was made by a metalhead who dabbles in art. You know what I mean? But the new one was made by a logo designer who probably also listens to metal too. But like, it just seems like it's like one's more like music fan first, and you can see that there's the passion there. But yeah, the new logo, like from aesthetic perspective, is superior.
That's a good way to put it, Lee. Yeah, that original logo very much looks like something high schoolers would have drawn in the back of a notebook during math class or something. Not that some of those aren't cool, but it does have that kind of feel to it. I would agree.
This is a cool little...
Oh, wow. Really? All three were done by Luke. Well, he got better.
Oh, cool. Did not know that. Thanks, Jack. All right, Marty. Let's see where we're going next.
All right. Well, this is kind of an obvious one. I can't say I love the original logo, but... And I know why they did it. Again, this is, I think, more of the aesthetic, trying to fit it on a piece of artwork, because In Flames' original logo is always going to be relegated to a corner. It's just the way it is. It's hard to put on T-shirts because it's tall. It's a tall logo, unless you put the in front of the flames and stretch it out that way. But it just doesn't work. So they swapped to this. And with it, they started to get more commercial. I mean, Horacle and Clayman have their moments, but there started to be more of an accessibility to their sound before they started going to kind of straight up mall metal at some point. I jumped out after Clayman, I believe, and I never even heard the mall stuff other than snippets or videos here and there. But their logo, as they progressed, matched what they were doing. Is just very corporate, lame. It kind of looks like something you'd see on the inside, outside of a race car or something. Just
it does.
A sponsor logo of some sort, as opposed to a death metal brand. Again, I'm not a humongous. That did not need to be that huge. They could have doubled the size down. They could have cut that size in half and just had a small in flame above the flames, and it would have worked better. But no, let's just go with the Dale Earnhardt sponsorship. My car goes real fast. If you're not first, you're last. Type of shit.
Marty likes to go fast.
I like to go fast. Look at my new logo. Yeah.
Yeah. Now his brakes work again. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, people! If you all know how much growth and development I've undertaken this last few days, but we're gonna not talk about that. Anyway,
Marty's been doing a little bit of the shake and bake.
That's right. Shake and bake. First you shake it, then you bake it.
That just happened.
I just have to say, on that Horacle tour, I saw them live, and they sold a tour shirt with their old logo, just the logo on the shirt, the old logo on the Horacle tour. Yeah.
That's about all you can do with that logo on a T-shirt, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to put a cool image underneath it, the image you're putting underneath it is going to be so small to make the logo big enough and legible, Anyway, I'm a T-shirt guy. If the other people don't know, if your logo doesn't look good on a T-shirt, you fucked up because that is the culture of metal. I mean, we're all wearing metal shirts right now, and yeah, it's just the way it is. Lee.
All right, let's see. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. The Tomb Mold kind of shifted their logos a bit, and somebody
Kind
can
of like
fact
where it
check.
started. Is that the first one? Their first one, the top one?
So I found this logo, but to my knowledge, they never use it on a release. I think
That's
only
their best
shirts.
one.
It's like, yeah, a little more like veiny, and there's a little more negative space in the shapes. This is the one they seem to be using the most. They started that on their second release, but Primordial Malignity, that's their first album. They started using this, and then they had it for Manner of Infinite Forms. They shifted to this one for Planetary Clairvoyance, and then I believe they shifted back to this one for the EP that was right before Enduring Spirit, Aperture of Body, and then they used this for Enduring Spirit. Now, it might be cleaned up a little bit, but I was looking at just the end shapes, and it seems like they brought it back. So this is one that's kind of weird where I thought they just had shifted to this completely, but it seems like they kind of bounced back a little bit. Huh. So I don't know. It kind of caught me by surprise because they are similar, but there's I don't know. I mean, it's hard to even describe why they're different, but they just are. But I kind of like some of these appendages a little bit more. But most of my shirts end up having this one. But yeah, it's the one that is on the most releases to this point.
Yeah, the first one looks the most old school.
Yeah. It's
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
I like it.
All right, Jurgen. I'll be
Okay,
back.
let's go to a bigger band. I'm not going to say anything. They changed it to that.
Yes, they did.
Yes. That is the only one that I have with that logo on it. The cover is shit. It would have worked with that logo. I think it would have worked better with that logo.
It could have fit in there. Yeah, it would have fit.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to even imagine because Pantera is such you just even have the picture in your head of the guy in the Pantera shirt in the mosh pit. You know what I mean? The Pantera, the entire enigma around it. It's hard to even. I never even think those 80s releases from Pantera are the same band, even though a lot of the same members are in it.
Yeah. Speaking of shirts, I would love to have one of those.
That'd be pretty cool.
I just love the image. I'm not going to talk about that band anymore, but that just came to my mind. And that is their first album. It's a little bit different. And that is the first one with the lineup we all know.
Such a bad logo, though, man. It's janky.
It's a bad logo.
Bad logo, bad covers.
Yeah, that's why I pulled out that one. Because it's the best of the three logos.
Even then, man, that P at the top looks terrible, dude. That's terrible.
So they were 15 years old.
Man, terrible. I love that comment there.
Look at that closing. It's good.
Nice one. Band terrible.
I'm done.
All right. Ellen.
All right. This one I forgot about for a while. I wasn't until I was doing like a sort of an extra pass picking things up. I'm like, wait a second. That band didn't always use the same font. Early on, they had a different logo. Band we've touched on many a time, The Chasm. You know, most people know The Chasm. You know, albums always have, you know, this kind of thing going on, you know, which works. But yeah, the first 3 albums had this.
I always like that one.
I like it too. Much harder to read. I like that it's got the kind of circular vibe, which you don't see a lot of bands come up with like a circular logo. And I'm interested to hear from Lee in just a moment if there's maybe reasons for that. But yeah, it was always a very hard one for me to read, but I always thought it looked really cool this way. And you know, the switch to this is kind of like, oh, well, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, I guess. But yeah, it didn't look nearly as unique or cool as the original logo to me. But again, there's definitely an improvement in legibility. This one's a pain in the ass to read, even if you know what you're holding. Whereas, yeah, this one, obviously not. But yeah, Lee, is there a reason that maybe bands or artists steer clear of very circular designs like this one?
Yeah, I kind of like what Marty's probably saying, like with just fitting it on shirts, it's a little bit harder to like, you know, fit it in. I like that original Chasm logo, but to me it looks a little more black metal than they actually are. It's a little deceiving.
That's a good
That's how
point
I
too.
see it.
Yep. It does feel maybe it felt a little too out of style.
I mean, the thing with Chasm and like, I feel like they're just like that underground band that just never got their due. But from like a aesthetic and business like perspective, I don't think they ever had really good branding. Like they've had bad covers. I don't think their logo is very good. Their shirts aren't, to me, that great. And their production hasn't always been the best. But then they got the best riffs and some of the best live performances. Like probably one of the best live death metal performances I've ever seen was the Chasm. Yeah. So it's like they're just the underdog band. You know?
They hopped around on labels a lot, and I've always felt like bands that do that, you have a bit of trouble getting over because nobody's marketing you long enough to have any kind of sustained push. It's like, well, this album, then this label's handling, and then you have to do a new contract, and someone else is doing it, and then you're on a third label, and someone else is doing that. Manila Road had this problem. Manila Road hopped from label to label to label, and another band that, and never really quite got all the. Later, by the end, yes, they were finally getting recognized, but shit, that took 30 some odd years and like almost 20 albums to get there. But yeah, I always wish the Chasm could have settled onto like one solid label that could have given them a good promotional push.
Actually, quick story on the Chasm. So I've seen them twice. The second time I saw them, the guitar player that they had, obviously not Daniel, but he literally bailed on the band. I don't even know if they quit. He just literally didn't show up the day that they were going to play in Atlanta. Like they just had no idea where he was. So they did it as a 3-piece that night, that second time they were opening for Cruciamentum. But like you could tell they were kind of pissed off because it was just like there was a lot of like obviously drama going on where they just had no idea where the guitar player was.
The Chasm opening for Cruciamentum. That is not right. It's not right. And the Chasm probably blew him off the stage.
Cruciamentum was pretty solid too. It was a great show all around.
They're awesome. Yeah. But I've seen Chasm 3 or 4 times, and they just absolutely, they're so metal. They just destroy. They're so good. Yeah. Daniel's such a charismatic frontman. And even when he was leading Incantation, he was just such a great frontman. So charismatic, a lot of power. Great. But yeah, Alan, the In Flames logo is really no different than that Chasm logo. It's the same.
It has that circular
It's the same
vibe
shape.
to it.
And again, it's stuck in a corner. If you were to put that in the middle, it would just be a mess.
The artwork kind of has to go around it, or it's messing with your artwork. That is true.
All right. Well, I'm going to do another one of those stuck in the corner, but this is a good. I've always liked this logo, the first At the Gates logo. Mm-hmm. There's an elegance to this logo, and it's different, and it's kind of cool. It's just, of course, this album cover sucks. I just never liked this cover. But right away, they get out of it pretty quick. Fear I Kiss the Burning Darkness is just the font. As they move on, it gets a little bit more modern, a little bit more new metal looking, to be
A
honest.
little more NASCAR.
Yep, we're back
Yeah.
to it. Coming up on the outside track, it's In Flames, followed closely by At the Gates.
At the Gates is taking the lead. Yeah.
Trailing far behind, as always, Dark Tranquility.
You mean DT? Let's make it so modern that we don't even call ourselves Dark Tranquility anymore. Let's just put DT on our album cover.
Oh, we'll get to them in a minute or two. I
Right on.
promise.
So I mean, At the Gates here, but the one thing is, their style is changing here, and I love Slaughter of the Soul. I think that is a great record. The riffs on that record are awesome. They can't help. It's like Cannibal Corpse. Cannibal Corpse can't help the fact that they influenced a million bands, or Suffocation. They can't help it. They influenced a million bands. At the Gates can't help that they influenced a bunch of new metal bands. They can't. But Slaughter of the Soul doesn't sound like that. It's just a killer album. I've never liked this thing here. I don't know what the hell. It looks like this looks almost like a comic book title to me. I don't know. But yep, it's another one of those where they needed something that would work on shirts and that would go better with the more modern styled artwork. Lee.
I'm starting to run low a little bit. This is one
Ran out of
where-
toner, everybody. Oh shit! Things are tough down at Heavy Art Talk. Go give him some donations, please. Commission him to do some artwork for your channel. It's awesome.
There we go. That's the plug I needed.
That's it.
I don't Black Sabbath. It kind of shifts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you got the original here. Then this is what they did for Paranoid. I feel like besides this, Black Sabbath really hasn't had a logo. And this was just so iconic because it was, all over, that particular album cover. So I don't know. I feel like they've always just varied it, and they haven't really always stood on like one solid logo and repeating it over and over again. They're kind of one of those bands you were talking about earlier, Marty, with that just kind of like doesn't really settle on that, but they didn't really ever need to either. What do you guys think about kind of Black Sabbath shifts?
Yeah, I think it's another good example of a band that never, like you said, they never really settled on one logo for very long and didn't have to. That one eventually kind of became the default for a lot of, once it became a branding for merchandise. But yeah, you look at the different albums, they used different things, whatever kind of suited them at the time.
They did kind of settle on that one illustration with the angel kind of going back like that, and then
They use it
you
in
have it on-
combination with that. Yeah.
They started using that,
Yeah.
more for merchandise stuff later. But how many albums is that on?
I don't know. The later ones, probably. I don't know.
Even the Tony Martin stuff doesn't have that. Dehumanizer's got its own look. So yeah, even later on they didn't do it a whole lot. I mean, maybe for like live albums or slip cases for reissues or something, it may have started showing up more.
I think Black Sabbath was never the band who cared about their album covers or the logos. So
I feel like they were always kind of like Led Zeppelin and like just interesting, weird covers, but they weren't always trying to be like the most metal. Like they just were,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think this older generation that came out, like Judas Priest, for example, I think it was an old interview I saw with Rob Halford where they had like very little say in the album covers at all. They just all of a sudden like, oh, here's your album cover, and they're like, what the hell is that? It makes no sense. So it makes you wonder, those guys are probably like, well, here's our idea. This is what the album's kind of what we're thinking, and you get what you get and you don't throw a fit type of thing. The label's paying for it. It just kind of, I get the impression that the older bands had very little say in what their artistic aesthetic was going to be.
Thinking about some of those early 70 bands, and I'm thinking off the top of my head here, but can we think of anybody who did come up with a very set logo and kept it through the 70s?
UFO?
UFO would be one that settled on one. Yeah,
Blue Oyster Cult had that symbol that they used on everything.
They had the symbol, but yeah, their font was always different.
same with
and stuff.
Rolling Stones with symbol, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The
I don't
symbol
think it
was their brand. Yeah.
Yeah, the logo thing really wasn't a '70s thing
Kiss.
as
Kiss
much.
had the same
And
logo all
now
the way.
Kiss, yeah. By the time you get to Kiss, you've got that happening. And maybe that, yeah, having that standard logo came a little bit later in the '70s. That in the early '70s, bands just weren't doing that.
I read CC Top or Deep Purple right now. They didn't have the same logo over the albums.
Yeah, Deep Purple's
AC/DC
changed a lot.
Yeah, AC/DC, the first couple of albums that were on Albert Records, the original presses had a totally different logo.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was
AC/DC.
I'm a big German hard rock fan, kraut rock if you want.
Mhm.
Even Eloy.
Yeah.
They changed. Yeah, they changed in the late '70s.
What about bands like Budgie? Did they always have the same? I don't. I'm
No,
trying to-
no.
Nope, they changed
No.
all the time.
It
So
just
yeah,
kind
it
of
may
seemed
be
like it was a
something that
thing to
didn't
do.
come along until like the mid or late '70s that bands started centering in on that, and maybe Kiss was part of that. You know, that Kiss had such good branding with their logo that other bands kind of started doing it more.
Yeah, I
could see
think Kiss was one of the first, and I was alive at that time, but I wasn't into music at that time. The first thing that came to my mind was Iron Maiden. They established, like Kiss, to use the same logo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even on the first four albums, the color scheme was the same.
Yep.
It was always red and white.
Mm-hmm.
They changed it with Power Slave. Yeah.
And Iron Maiden, I think the only like real switch they've had is I'd have to look at it, but some of the letters evened out like to create a whole
Yeah,
line.
they-
Instead of just dipping down just a little below.
Yeah, they started it with the X Factor.
Okay.
Even
It's
the
basically the same though. It's very slight.
All right.
Yeah, German pressings of the Kiss albums. Yeah.
Yep.
They used the different S.
Yep.
Because
Kind of.
they
Kind of had
weren't.
to.
Yeah, they weren't allowed it over
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yep. All right, Jurgen.
Okay, another pretty obvious one, which goes with a musical change. First ball thrower had that logo on it.
Which is classic.
They already had that on it.
I love how that looks like a crust punk record. It just has the same aesthetic. It has that awesome artwork. Love it.
Even on the center label, it says hardcore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So they changed with their second album to that,
Which is a
And
killer
they-
logo as well.
and they always kept it. And I haven't read it up, but it looks like the guys who did the covers that War Master,
Games Workshop.
Games Workshop, maybe they were responsible for that as well.
Probably.
Definitely
It
influenced
looks the
by
same. Yeah.
Mhm.
So they weren't allowed to use that on the reissue,
it. Mm-hmm.
but they always kept the logo. So classic ball throw logo. This works in color, and it works on the band shirts in black and white.
Yep.
Totally unique, and no other metal band has a logo like that. You know, that's
No.
such an important aspect of designing a logo. If you want it to stand out, is doing shit like that.
They've got it in black and white.
Iconic band, iconic logo. Even the old school logo, I dig that too. They had their artwork tied down, all of it. It's very cool.
But
For Victory is a lame cover, but it's a killer record.
when they sold that as a concert T-shirt pretty often, yeah. And it always had that logo on it. Did you realize that?
I have now. I can see what you mean because I always see like even the bootlegs they keep it consistent with that.
Hmm. But to be honest, that looks pretty cool.
It does.
If you write it out like that, not so much.
No, but
In
it's
my
cool they
opinion.
did it different for the back. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's the back of the album. I don't know. It's not great, but yeah,
I got
awesome pick.
I don't want to go on a giant tangent, but like, have any of you guys seen an interview or anything where one of the band members explains their decision for not selling online merch? Like, because it doesn't make any sense to me because they hate bootleggers, yet they don't give the option for people to buy their merch. Like, I don't.
And Bolt Thrower is one of that. That's a legacy that they should have come together and have like a store that they just run, keep putting out merch and make money off it. You know,
You
the
can't
legacy
have it
lives on.
both ways. I don't get the business behind it. Doesn't make any sense. Or even
But
the lack of business.
I think that is one of the most consequent bands. They said we're gonna break up. We're not gonna do any live shows anymore. We're not gonna do any more albums or compilations or stuff. Have you ever seen anything appear from them? From Those Ones Loyal was their last album. They didn't make a live album. They didn't release a DVD, something like that. And it's just consequent to not open an online store. The band is done. Period.
Yeah,
And
they're
for-
so involved with like shutting down bootleggers. That's the thing. It's like if
But
you're
their
really
shit's-
done,
Yeah.
why are you so involved doing that?
If they're not that done because the shit stays in print. There's some organization of Bolt Thrower that's still presiding over making sure shit stays in print of their albums.
I'm not too sure if they are still going after bootleggers anymore. But when the band was still active, do you know the story where they printed their shirts? They bought a printing machine and printed them in the tour bus. So sometimes you get.
That's so punk. That's such an awesome DIY. I mean, perfect. We ran out of shirts. You got your printing press on the fucking bus. That is genius.
Yep.
Just a one color, one station press. And someone with a heat gun curing them. Genius.
Yeah, they did it like that.
Wow.
And they got their water pipe or bong glued to the top of the bus.
Yeah.
If they go through customs.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like they're missing the boat there. They could, of course, Carl's got, Memoriam. They're out, very active band still. Yeah, the Glorious Dead van hardly packs us fatties in there, let alone a room for a press. God. Great pick. Good pick, Jurgen. I didn't even think of that Bolt Thrower, but perfect. They're perfect logo. All eras.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
an easy one to think, oh, they always use the same logo. No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. All right, Alan.
All right. I mentioned at the beginning, we all did that a lot of power metal bands seem to stick to their logo for an extremely long time. But one exception to that rule is Gamma Ray. The first few Gamma Ray albums had this logo, where it's kind of very triangular based, with the G's, the A's, everything's meant to be kind of triangular. I never liked this one very much.
Miami Vice.
And with the
Intro by Jan Hammer.
Everything about the cover screams Miami Vice. You're right, Lee. And it wouldn't be until a few albums later where they would adopt, the logo that they have stuck with.
Which is cool
moving
logo.
forward. Which works fine. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing amazing about it, but it works. You can stretch it across the top of things, and it arcs upwards, so I guess it stays out of the way pretty well.
That album gets me fucking excited.
But,
I'm not gonna lie.
No, this is a great album. And let's see, Insanity and Genius technically has its own logo in between these two. But yeah, I never liked this whole triangle pyramid logo thing. It felt very clunky to me. Doesn't help that I'm not a fan of these albums either. They have some okay songs, but this era of the band doesn't do much for me. This logo doesn't do much for me. So it was one of the para metal bands, though. I thought, I was like, yeah, Camera did reinvent the logo, unlike Halloween and Blind Guardian and Rhapsody and a laundry list of other para metal bands that have really stayed with one thing for a long time.
Halloween kind of kept the same logo, but would change their pumpkin out. Here
Well, you got to. Eventually it rots, so
Yeah.
you gotta get a fresh pumpkin in there every now and then.
Yep. Oh shit, my turn. All right, I'm going here.
Yep, yes, you are. It is your turn.
A sign of a band changing. Variation on a theme, which is fine, and then going and changing because their sound changed. So we're talking about Metallica logo designed by James Hetfield in school. I think he was in drafting in school, drafting table. Iconic logo. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, obviously, yes.
And you're going to expand on the theme here, make it a little bit more
Three-dimensional.
airbrushed looking.
That'll
Three-dimensional. And then your sound changes. And what happened? This is what happened. This is bad. It's a sign of change. But as time has gone on, they're back to this logo again. Simplistic, classic. Yeah, and the funny thing is, these guys were so hip to change their logo depending on their sound, but bands like Megadeth, they basically kept their logo the whole time other than this album here.
Which one was that, Marty?
Am I hearing something? Is it my phone?
Someone's got something in the background. But
Sounds like
which
baseball.
album? Oh, yeah, Risk. Yeah,
Risk.
I'm just not used to that cover art.
Yeah, this is an advanced promo, but they still a variation of a theme. I went through a lot of the Megadeth albums looking at the logo, and it pretty much is the same on every one. He kept his logo, but Metallica, I mean, even this is his Black album essentially, but it of course didn't hit like the Black album did. But once again, Dave Mustaine outclasses Metallica except for Risk. All right, Lee.
All right, this is my last one that I printed. And this one's, I don't know how it really constitutes, but Lamp of Murmur, black metal band that's caught a lot of attention. I've always thought that logo is really awesome. Not legible. It's all about the designs.
Can't read it, but yeah.
It's pretty ornamental and sick. And then they had a compilation. It is called The Remnants of a Bewildered Ache, and they used a more legible version. But ever since then, they've shifted back to this. So it was really just that one release that they did this. But I don't know. It just popped in my mind. I was also thinking about ones that you guys wouldn't pull. But
I printed a bunch of shirts for them for a tour, and I got real sick of looking at it. I'm looking at the logo, but trying to read it. I know what it says, but I'm trying to piece out the letters. I'm like, man, this logo, it looks
yeah, it was
cool,
this
but
one.
it just fails for the fact it's not legible at all.
yeah. Was it hard to print at all? Was that
Well,
difficult?
the one was the Saturnian, the one that sounds like Immortal.
The full color? You had to print that?
I did full color one. It was a pain in the-
that's tricky. How many screens do you have to use for that?
It was 5, I think.
Jeez.
It was a pain in the ass. They turned out great. They look good, but it was just a pain in the butt. All right, Jurgen.
Okay, let's talk about legal issues with changing logos. There you go.
Yes. Very controversial one that folks have mentioned in the chat.
Mhm. The first couple of Cannibal Corpse albums had that logo, and as soon as Chris Barnes was thrown out, or depending who's talking, left the band, they changed their logo to this. It looks pretty much the same, but it looks more organized. Let's say that.
Stiff.
Yeah, stiff. Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Wait, stiff. I
always-
get it because it's a corpse.
Nailed it.
Huh? I've seen the reissues of the old Cannibal Corpse albums, and I hate them with the old logo.
Yeah,
I
it's not the
just,
same.
yeah, it's just not the same. I've got the Bleeding as a reissue because I just can't afford to buy an original one. It just doesn't feel right. So I don't know if the story is true that Chris Barnes has the rights for the old logo, but
Apparently, that's the case.
that was the excuse they made in a couple of interviews.
Yeah, the new logo definitely would fit better on like a business card. I like where the train's going.
Cannibal Corpse LLC.
Yeah. Cannibal Corpse Incorporated. Yeah. All right. Ellen.
Not permitted in 48 different states and territories. Oh, let's see. What do we want to pick next? Folks mentioned this one early on. It's a good example. We should definitely make sure we get to this one. I think Jack has said this is his favorite band in a previous stream. Catatonia. Big logo change.
That original logo rules. I always
original
liked that
logo-
logo.
Yes, very, very cool. You can read it, but it takes just enough effort. It's like there's this scale with metal logos that if you can read it too easy, it's not good. But if you can never read it, that's also not good. So you have to put in like just the right amount of effort for it to really score high on the cool factor. And the Catatonia logo definitely is right there. And then after just a few releases, they went with this one, which is
Lame.
it's more fonty, but it's at least kind of unique. Obviously easier to read.
The
Kinda
old one still
carnival.
would have worked. Yeah.
It would have. I don't know if it would have worked for much longer beyond this record, though. I think this logo, by like tonight's decision and stuff, would have started feeling kind of out of place.
Yeah.
There's a style shift, happening here for sure. I like this album a lot. I think they had a really cool sound here. But they just kind of gradually drifted further and further from away. I eventually just lost touch with the band. But yeah, so a great logo replaced with an okay one, corresponding with just an overall change in sound as they kept moving over the years. It's obviously worked out really well for them. They've had an incredibly long and very, very successful career. So yeah, Catatonia definitely had to come up as a good example. And this is just something else to point out. While I mentioned before, they didn't come up with a lot of power metal bands that changed logo. It seems like we are talking about a ton of death metal bands that eventually changed logo. There's been a lot of examples from all of us tonight, from Cannibal Corpse, In Flames, Catatonia, okay, Death Doom, or whatever you want to call their early stuff. But do you think there's a reason, or so many of the death metal logos early on, kind of like Lee said earlier, maybe they just feel like a little too juvenile? They're cool when you're 18 and trying to out edgelord everybody, but 5 years later, when you're re-signing a new contract with a new label, they feel a little too kiddie. I don't know. Any thoughts?
I don't know. It kind of leads into my next one. If you want me just to go with that, I could do that.
Sure. That'll work.
Here's a logo that works really well. Is it the best logo ever? No. Sanity is the focal point. Edge of isn't the best, but it's still good. They used it on the first 2 albums, and then first 3 albums. Spectral Sorrows has it too.
Yep.
Then it goes to the same font that's on Heartwork. Then you go to another font, which it works. The name of the album is actually more interesting looking than the name of the band.
Kind of papyrus looking though.
Yeah. gonna get some of your font snob friends in here, like, oh, I was awful busy studying the differences between Arial and Arial Black. Sorry. Anyway,
You're not wrong.
I know. But this is showing a band that's evolving. They're getting better, I think, and they're getting more adventurous, I think, as Dan's musical exploration kind of moves to the forefront. Where I think that Edge of Sanity, when they started off, first 3 albums, they were still kind of a band. You know, they felt like they had a band. There was like multiple members contributing to the songwriting. As you start getting into this, and you start getting into this, I mean, this is Dan Swano. There isn't many other dudes in the band contributing. They might come and play on some of the stuff, but I would bet Swano plays a lion's share of most of this stuff. I would say the drums too, but Bernie is the drummer's name, right?
Yeah.
I think he probably played drums on all of this. Benny. But so as the band evolved, they dropped their logo, changed it, probably for aesthetic reasons, design-wise, but still kind of bugs me a little bit. But thankfully, the music is so much more interesting, I didn't dwell on it too long.
But
Good
here,
band.
show the early logo again. It's 2 different styles.
Yep.
Mhm.
You got
For one
squiggly
band
and then
name.
straight. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is unusual.
And what also bugged me about this original pressing, and the front's got a blue aesthetic in the color scheme, and then this is completely, it looks like a different release. Like you dropped a
That's
bunch
weird.
of CDs,
Mhm.
and the cover fell out, and you stuck it in the wrong. It doesn't have the same color scheme on the back. It's annoying.
Yep.
Shit like that bugs me. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but it does.
I'm not a
I'm-
huge fan of that original logo. Just that the 2 fonts is weird. The Sanity being so much bigger is weird. It
actually
stretches out vertically a bit much, which is weird.
To make it
Yeah.
wider on the top of covers, they put 2 upside down crosses on each side on Unorthodox.
Mhm. Yep.
Let me just pull the last one they did. I think they got back to the original logo.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. What was that called? Not Infernal. It was
Is that
fuck,
the one
it's
with the
green.
Seagrave art?
Yeah, it's got a green cover on it.
Mhm.
It didn't have Swano singing on it. It had that Roga.
Is it Infernal? No.
No, the Infernal was still Swano. It was the one after that. Hold on, I have archives up. Let me look.
Cryptic? Someone? just
That's
mentioned
it.
Cryptic?
That's it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. But archives is not at all forgiving. If you spell one thing wrong,
Oh God,
It
yes.
it's like fuck you. That band, you're dumb, and that band doesn't exist.
The thing that's also weird with archives, like sometimes you can, if it's like multiple words in the name, sometimes you can type 2 words and it'll pull it up, and sometimes it won't.
See, I like it even better with the upside down crosses. It gives it, I don't know, it's a lot going on there, but it makes it a little bit wider, takes up a little more space. I wonder if they use that on Cryptic. Hold on, let me pull that up real quick.
No, Cryptic has a different logo.
Oh shit, Crimson 2 came out after Cryptic? I did not.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that logo really sucks. Let me pull.
So
that up.
I was wrong. That was not the last one. That was the last one Dan Swanee and the band did together. And Marty, do you know that album?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, it's basically 2 different bands. Dan Swanee did a song, and then the band did a song.
And it sounds very uncohesive. It doesn't sound cohesive.
Yeah, it's not good.
Crimson 2, after Cryptic, where they had, was it Roga Johansson singing? Is that wrong? I could be wrong.
No, yeah.
They had Crimson 2, Swano comes back with Michael Ackerfeld on vocals for that. So,
Mhm.
and I'm sure that's all just Swano as well. It's a
Yeah,
band full of talent. They put out some killer, amazing stuff. No one really talks about them. It's getting a little bit of talk now because they've reissued. Century Media's reissued a bunch of stuff, but yeah. All right, you're up next.
I'm up.
Wait,
No.
Lee.
Lee. I thought Lee went, but that was me that went.
I'm out of visual
Jeff.
aids. But does anybody have Sepultura on standby?
No.
Right
No.
here.
I've not. I can.
I can show them for you.
Yeah.
Nope, already got them.
But yeah, they definitely shifted there, and man, that old school logo, like I felt like they could have carried that on a little bit further. Like
It's
to even
so bad, though. It's so bad.
But like if you just clean it up and just edit it a little bit, like it's more interesting than the block letters.
You know what? I was going to say, go ahead. I want you to finish before I jump in on this.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, I just feel like it's weird that as early as Beneath the Remains, they don't have that type of logo. Like that it seems like in my mind, Arise would still have that. And then after Arise, with like the greater shift in their sound to like Chaos AD and stuff, that they would start using that, just font.
That's a good
But,
point, Lee.
yeah.
It does feel like Chaos 80 is where they should have shifted.
Yeah, it was
I
like
hadn't thought
almost
of that.
too early, but I mean, they can't see the future or whatever.
Too
but,
soon, Max. Too soon.
yeah. That's all I had to say. They were just another example on my list that I didn't print out.
Is Marty about to tell us he likes the plain font better?
This is really weird because this is a total
You're gonna say it.
contradiction.
Oh my God.
I've never liked this logo. It's going downhill. It's not symmetrical. You could tell a kid made it, right? This here is just a stupid font, but they messed with it a little bit. If you look at it, it's a little wavy, and the way the logo sits and the color it uses, for some reason, it's just the way this album is supposed to look.
You sound like my font nerd friends.
Are they taking applications?
The mild tweak to the Times New Roman makes this work just fine.
I don't know. Am I
You've
gonna sit
spent
here?
years complaining about bands doing this, and now
I know.
you're going to die on this hill.
I was looking at this today, and I'm like, you know what? This is just the way this is supposed to look. If you put this scraggly fucking 13-year-old logo on there, this is the way this is supposed to look.
It fit just fine.
It doesn't take away from there's a stark simplicity to this cover, but you look at it, but you're drawn to this. This is the most important focal part of the piece.
Because the other part's boring as fuck.
It is. If anything, this orange splotch here, what the fuck is this supposed to be?
Orange juice.
Yeah. I don't know. This is one instance where, I mean, do I want to get a tattoo of this on my arm? No. But this is the way this album's supposed to look.
I don't know, that Helvetica tattoo, that's a pretty banger.
If you're getting a tramp stamp, don't go Helvetica, bro. You got to mix it up a bit. Go Wolves of the Throne Room, not Helvetica. All right.
But on the Beneath the Remains tour, the tour shirt they sold, it has the cover, but it has the white old logo on it.
Huh.
Because no one would have bought it with the new logo.
And you don't like the old logo?
No.
That's pretty bad.
Hold on, let me get you blown up. I mean, no. That's even worse.
And the
That's
old
a
logo.
jailhouse tattoo right there, man. That's what it's like.
Did they get that off of G.G. Allen?
That one looks pretty
That
cool.
one's
huh?
pretty. That one's pretty
That's
good.
sick.
That's a
Yeah.
lot better.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah, that works.
Okay. Yeah.
But that one, schizophrenia, it's lopsided and weird, and I don't know.
I wonder, with schizophrenia, I wonder if it might have just helped if it had been filled in. I think like the colors are part of the problem there, that the red and the blue and the purpley thing in the background there's not enough contrast.
Well, the red makes sense because there's red in the piece, but they made it an outline. An outline
if
with
they had
with
filled
a
in the
weird
outline.
color in the background, that never works. It doesn't look
Yeah,
right.
even filling in the outline might have been enough to make it work a lot better.
Yeah.
Hey Marty, can you print me a shirt of that? Just the logo?
Yeah, I can. I have the power and the technology.
And it's death metal.
All right, Jurgen, you're up.
Oh, damn it. Okay, obvious. I'm stuck with my cable. Obvious one. They used that. There it is. That logo with the pentagram. They used it without the pentagram.
Mm-hmm.
They used it until Divine Intervention. So they still kept the logo after the drummer changed. But they made an album called Diabolus in Musica. And it looked like that.
Ugh. Everything about that is ugh.
That's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. After that,
Welcome to the 90s. Marilyn, thank you, Marilyn Manson.
yeah.
Thanks, Slipknot. Yeah.
After that, they did the what was the 9/11 album?
God Hates Us
God
All.
Hates
Hates
Us All.
Yeah. They had the blood draining logo on it, not on it, but in it. And then they went back to the classic logo. So Slayer made a really, really bad decision here.
Oh, yeah.
Several bad decisions.
Yeah, there's a line of them. Yeah.
The logo might have been the least egregious of those decisions.
Yep. All right. Alan.
Let's see. Well, I promised it earlier, so we should definitely do it. In Flames wasn't the only Gothenburg band to change directions and logos. Dark Tranquility. Most people are familiar with this one from early on. Yeah, Jack mentioned earlier that they had a different logo in their demo days. I didn't pull up any examples of that, but this one, it's not the most amazing logo ever, but okay, it'll work. But then yes, you go over to, they get picked up by Century Media, and it becomes this, and it's just like. Yeah, it's a font. It's all lowercase. It's one of those cases where your spider sense is just telling you, it's like, this is just not going to work out great. And it's not like they got terrible right away or anything, but definitely less dynamic music, less interesting. And I hadn't seen this before, but I was looking for the demo font Jack mentioned, and when you pull up their Metal Archives, apparently nowadays they're going with this abomination. The fuck happened here? Don't know. Don't want to know.
Definitely not
They
metal.
should have put their old logo in that O with the line through it. That'd have been funny.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, okay. I've checked in on Dark Tranquility now, and that's as much as I need to do. I'll see you guys in another 5 to 10 years if you're still around. So yeah, Dark Tranquility, again, another death metal band that they didn't have a crazy logo here, but once again felt the need to sort of sanitize it even more. And
Hold it up for 1 second. It might just be me, but does that first logo remind you of a CAPTCHA, where everything's just a little off? Where you have to type in the letters. Anybody else see that? What's up with the orientation?
Yeah.
It seems a
It's
little.
like it's coming at you. Pow!
yeah,
But then I don't know.
Cacao! Right in the face.
you have to get the Die Hard edition where it's like a 3D thing, and it really does kind of just come out. Yeah, there.
Yeah.
Jurgen's got
Yeah,
there's the original pressing.
I don't think I like any of their logos, frankly.
Neither one's going to win any prizes. Nope. That third one might win a certain prize, but not one you'd want to put on your resume.
All right. Well, the font thing here. I say that this has a classy vibe to it. I don't know, just because of the cover, the color scheme, everything about it. And basically, I love this album so much. That's part of it. It's all forgiven because the album is so good. At this point, the best thing they've done. And people are going to be like, what? No. But yeah. Here's a class, moving to a class of band where we're too fancy and highfalutin. That old logo just is not us. And I'm talking about Fate's Warning. Not that this was ever the world's best logo anyway, but
Looks great airbrushed on the side of a 73 Camaro.
exactly.
Yeah.
with a burning unicorn. Yeah, absolutely. But then they're like, oh, we're a prog band now. So we've got lame-ass fonts, lamer-ass fonts. Lame-ass album. Sorry. I said it. It's good. It's just too proggy for me. But this is a symbol of a band that's like, we want to put our past behind us.
Leave the past behind. That's actually a song from Parallels.
Wow. See there?
Mm-hmm.
Flashbacks for that deep dive we did with who do we do that with? Wagner?
Wagner, yes. That was with Jeff.
That was a tough homework assignment. I gotta tell you, tough homework assignment. Anyway, yep. Lee,
I might be out. A random one that I don't even really know much about the band. I have one of their albums, but Lord Belial did change their logo. If you want to look at like Metal Archives, you can see. But like they had something that was kind of like they did like weird like 3-dimensional effects on the original one that had like a devil tail, and then they shifted it to be like more. I don't know, almost looked more deathcore to me, which it seemed like a downgrade in my opinion. But that's what they kind of. I think are with now. Yep, so that's the new one, the one up there. To me, it looks kind of like a, I don't know. To me, it looks a little like a deathcore band actually, but it might just be my eyes.
Not too keen on that.
and let's go to the earlier stuff here. Kiss the Goat. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's got the wings and like the tail. I think it's got more of a feel to it.
Yeah, I was like they did a good job of sort of demonizing the logo with the wings and the tail and stuff on that one. It has a little bit of the Baphomet kind of look to it.
I don't know why that went away, but anyway, okay. Yeah, good one. That was a very big change actually. They made it look more modern black, or orthodox black metal, I should say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that band stuck around and made so many albums because.
That was a longer list than I expected.
It really was, yeah. And it's like they
put out a new one in 2022. It's got one rating of 95%. Someone liked it a whole bunch.
Hey, moms are allowed to put reviews on Metal Archives. I don't know. I haven't heard the album. I can't say anything about it. But
I don't know.
I mean, they're one of those bands like everybody knows the first 2, maybe 3 albums, and I never have heard anybody mention a single one of those other albums ever. So you could have told me they broke up after that 3rd album. I would absolutely have believed you based on everything I've heard people say for the last 20 years about that band. Because they only talk about Enter the Moonlight Gate, Kiss the Goat, and Unholy Crusade. If they even bother mentioning Unholy Crusade. What happened to Lord Belial?
They're still together. 2022, their new album. All right.
Just weird that, such a big chunk of their catalog is ignored. God Dethrone's kind of the same way now that I think about it. Everyone talks like the early God Dethroned, and they've made a bunch more albums, and nobody ever talks about those.
Well,
they just put a new album this year.
What's that, Lee?
Do those bands tour at all? I mean, I know they don't much in the States. I can't think of any time they've come through.
I don't know. I remember at one point Lord Belial had kind of wound down because, their literal reason was like, we just don't have any motivation to go out and tour or anything. So maybe that was part of it. I don't know. Maybe that's a topic for another night. Bands with long catalogs that we didn't know had long catalogs.
Didn't know still existed, yeah.
Or that, most of the catalog just never gets discussed or something. Yeah. Okay, I'll make a note of that. That might be an interesting topic for another Friday night. We stumbled into one there.
Yeah. All right, Jurgen.
Okay. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Rage. For their first 3 albums, they used the chain logo. The first 3 are basically speed metal.
Mm-hmm.
All pretty much in the same vein. On their 4th album, they got a little slower, a little bit proggier, including some keyboards. And all of a sudden, they used that logo.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, they used variations of that logo.
Yep.
Pretty much, it stayed the same. The new logo got a little bit more rounded at the corner, but they used that since then. I prefer that one.
My kid just bought the new album, the new double LP. It's really good. That band is still so good. PV, he's got the vision. The vision. All right, good pick, Alan.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also pretty low. I've got a couple more we can work with here. Yeah. Pet band of mine. Not wearing the shirt tonight though. Japan's Sai has kind of the classic logo. Always unique looking. I kind of like it. You know, it's a little weird with the.
It's cool.
It's got the brackets on either side, but on the S, it's not really necessarily part of the S. It just kind of like sticks off the end of the S, but it's kind of symmetrical, but not perfectly symmetrical, but kind of unique. And they used it up through Imaginary Sonscapes. And after that, we got this. So that is about as fonty as you can get. And you could say, yes, there's a musical style change here, but you can say that about every Psy album. So I don't know if it really lines up that way. And this was an album that people were not happy with. Even a lot of Psy fans will kind of dismiss this one. The first pressing has, a weird production to it that the band tried to pass off as like, oh, we were going for this particular sound. And then very quickly had to retract and be like, no, it just sounds like crap. We're sorry. So the reissue is actually more sought after because they cleaned up the sound with the mastering some, I guess. I don't think it's a horrible album, but it takes some getting used to. But nobody wants this on merchandise. But this, absolutely. Yeah, that's a cool logo. Can dig that one. I didn't check. I don't remember if I'm guessing they have used this one on some other stuff since then. I don't.
Insomnophobia, Elran Cantor actually painted it on a sign in that scene.
So it's in the background, kind of.
Yeah, with the one with all the babies and the pregnant old woman. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's a really cool piece of art. But yeah, a lot of the newer albums, at least the last couple, they have not used it. They didn't use it on Shiki, and they didn't use it on the one before that, the one that has the really disturbing picture of the smiling lady watering a dead
something,
flower.
Right?
Heir to Despair. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. That jogged my memory. So, yeah, cool logo, used every now and then, still at least. But it does still show up on merch for shirts and stuff too, of course. Marty, how's your stack doing?
I have 4 more.
Okay. Jurgen, how's your stack doing?
I have a couple more.
A couple more? Okay, we can wrap up. Lee, if you think of a couple more and want, we can. That's great. If you want to just comment on ours.
I think just
no
skip me in
pressure
the rotation.
Okay, yeah, no pressure to try to come up with stuff on the fly. Yeah, because this is like we're all winding down.
All right. Kind of like an Edge of Sanity thing. These guys are label mates. Got Cemetery, Evil Shade of Grey.
And now I have 2 left.
Oh, shit, I'm sorry. See how that works? There could be only one, Alan.
But not for Cemetery logos. There can be several.
Yeah, there could be several. Here we got the classic. It's still kind of a bastardized font with a cool illustration with it. Second album, they changed sound a lot. Mm-hmm. This looks more like a Butthole Surfers album cover to me.
It does.
The naked woman with the perspective of the shot, her head is large and looks alien. The umbilical cord with thorns on it. And the back looks like October Rust, which is hilarious. Again, this is more of a thrashy album. They kind of left the death metal behind and went for more of a thrash, yelled vocal style. This is a good record. I still like it. They dropped the logo entirely on Black Vanity, their third record, which again, they get more gothic. Sounds nothing like it. The next album, Sundown, they go to just another font. Again, they wade even further into the gothic soundscape. And Last Confessions, is that what the name of this is? Yeah.
Yep.
Fourth album, no font again. So fonts weren't really something that concerned this band too much. And all this, the first 4 records, they're all kind of different from each other, but they're all good. I mean, I kind of got into the gothic metal side of this band.
They do it well.
They do it pretty well. Is it the first 2 albums? No, of course not. But good stuff.
Yeah, even Last Confessions, they get maybe a little more electronic on that one, and it kind of works. They do it pretty well.
Good songwriter. He has a vision, and I don't know. I could look it up. Did that band continue on? I have no idea. They
He
turned
switched
into
the name.
Sundown.
Yeah, he
Turned into
changed
Sundown,
names to.
yeah.
There was Sundown, but he also changed it to. I think he did at least one album where it was a number like 13, 18 or something for one or two albums. So, but then I think
Cemetery
he circled back to Cemetery eventually. So,
Oh yeah, because Last Confessions was in '97, and in 2000, The Beast Divine, and then the last album is Phantasma, came out in 2005. I have not
I
heard
haven't
any
heard
of
those
these.
last two.
Yeah, I haven't heard it the last two.
I feel like I used to have the one with the number, whatever that one was.
I don't see anything with a number. That was Sundown, perhaps. Let me look that up.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was a Sundown album. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Sundown, melodic. Oop, that's not right.
Let's see what was those other projects called.
Huh.
Yeah, he had Fix Sundown, but they don't actually. Oh, Archives doesn't have an entry for.
They're
Sundown.
not. There's no entry for it on Archives.
That's
I have a promo
weird.
for one of the first album he did, but
Yeah, they may feel that Sundown drifted a little bit too much into the electronic stuff.
it is still selling Cemetery though.
Yeah.
In a
But
way.
hey, we still got that Rush page on Archives though,
Yeah.
because that's metal.
Yeah. Thin Lizzy too. All right.
I'll give them that one.
All
You
right.
can't have everything on there. Maybe they'll get the Sundown page up someday.
Lee, are you out of bullets?
I'm out.
Yep. Lee's going to help us
Jurgen.
though with our remaining ones.
I was just thinking about something that might be interesting. So My Dying Bride used that logo and the classic logo.
Their classic logo rules.
You know how that logo was created?
No.
No? I talked to the drummer when they released I don't know what is the one with the
Like Gods of the Sun?
yeah, right, yeah. I met him at that show, and he told me that logo, they couldn't decide on what logo they would use, and one of the band took a Sharpie in his mouth and got a huge piece of paper, and that's what came out.
That's hilarious. It looks cool. I don't know. I always
Yeah,
kind of
it
liked
looks
it.
cool. Yeah.
It could fit the top of a record if they
Mhm.
wanted to. Looks kind of sure.
Mhm. But that was not my pick. Speaking of the German Big Four in thrash metal, there was one band that changed their logo.
Oh no.
Which one was it?
Oh.
German thrash band or Destruction.
Yeah.
Simon was trying to get you to do this earlier, and now
What?
we're going to.
What?
Yeah, Destruction had that one on their first EP
Yes.
and on their demo tape. That was very primitive, infantile. Is that a word?
Yep.
Not good.
Very amateurish. They got a little bit more professional on that one,
Mm-hmm.
and the logo did as well.
Iconic.
Yeah, and they used it ever since, apart from one little album
Yeah.
released in 1998.
Mm-hmm. You gonna show it?
No,
Yep. That was an abomination. One decent song on it, if I remember right.
no, no. I like the album. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
musically, it's not as like Jack said here. Musically, it's not completely atrocious. The vocals make it feel very 90s Pantera-ish, which is strange. But it does musically. It has some decent stuff happening. But it's still fun to make fun of it because
a little bit of Voivod in that. So my pick would be Destruction.
Actually,
Tank-
go ahead.
Tankard kept the logo, Sodom kept it, Creator kept it.
Yep. Oh, Creator actually changed theirs because their logo used to read Tormentor. If we're gonna
Are you proud of yourself for that, Marty?
Yeah,
Do you feel good now?
I learned how to change brakes on a vehicle yesterday, so I'm all full of all sorts of great ideas.
Okay, topic for the next video would be bands that changed their name but kept the logo.
That might be a solo performance on you, because I don't know if I could contribute anything to that. Huh. All right. Alan.
All right. This band mainly known for 2 logos, but they've had others. Let's see. This is Behemoth, in their black metal early phase. They went with, a pretty typical kind of, black metal font.
Old
Fair
English.
enough. And, as they morphed into more and more death metal, they went with, this logo, which is the one most people associate with them. They did apparently have a lot of different logos early on in, their very early demo phases. Just one example on Metal Archives for a real early demo is, they looked at the death logo and thought, Behemoth's a longer word. We can put more into this.
Step aside, Sepultura. Here we come.
It's like, sorry, Chuck, you only have 5 letters to play with. We've got 9. When you stop and look at it, it's kind of cool for a Polish demo out of the early 90s. Sure, like the upside down. They didn't just go with an upside down cross for a T. They made it into a coffin, and they get a bonus point for that because the upside down cross was the easy way. But they actually put a little more thought into it than that.
The those coexist bumper stickers? It's like the black metal version of that.
Perfect.
And it makes it funnier because it's in the context of Behemoth, which I doubt Nurgle has a coexist bumper sticker on.
That is fucking perfect.
Believe what thou wilt shall be the whole of our law.
Wow, perfect.
Yes.
Now I can't unsee it. Oh my god.
But yes, so Behemoth, two well-established logos. This is not the only one. I know, I've seen some other Behemoth logos from the early demo phases. There's one that looks a bit more like the Mayhem demo, where the upside, like the M, the bottom of the M's on the Mayhem kind of have almost like the bat wingy kind of amphibious thing going on. One of the Behemoth logos has that kind of vibe in the corner with a lot of scroll work under the center. So yeah. Behemoth tried out a few different things before they settled on a font, but they did come up with something a bit more original later on. Not the greatest logo ever, but hey, they've been successful with it, so it worked. And I have one left after this, unless somebody steals it.
Yeah, that's my job apparently. Okay, well, we're gonna go for basically I think the point of this was clarity, and as the band got more and more popular, I think the label probably said you need to rework your logo.
Yep.
I mean, that's classic.
I like that logo a lot.
Yeah, it's classic logo, and it kind of is a great representation of their chaotic, fast early years, and then they went to more of a afflicted type of logo as far as metal goes. It got the curvature to it. Will look good on t-shirts, and it's just, man, the whole photo shoot for this whole album cycle was so stupid. So stupid. A million pictures of them in different WWF type of poses and stuff, but perfect riff album for me. I know Ben hates this, but I love this record. I think the riffs on it, every song, banger from start to finish. But yeah, they went with this logo and never really went back. Even when Abath was out of the band, they kept this. So must have worked for them. All right, Lee's out. Jurgen, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
I've got a question for you. How much does a logo that is used consequently have to do with the longevity and the success of a band? I'm just thinking about Yeah, Kiss and
Kiss.
and Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If it
Does
ain't broke,
that-
don't fix it. If you have a perfect brand, I mean, the logo is perfect for both Iron Maiden and Kiss. You know, obviously Kiss are the absolute grim overlords of merchandising. So, I mean, obviously it worked. Yeah, you guys saw. I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Hey, Vegan Metalhead, what's up? Right back.
So, Lee, what do you think of that?
I mean, I agree with like Marty in the sense of like, if when you were showing the Cemetery albums earlier, I was like, yeah, none of this is sticking in my head at all, like because it's like almost every single release look like a completely different brand and album, and then you compare that to like Iron Maiden, and yes, they've had different painters work on their album covers and like slight variations in the logo, but like it's always been consistent. So I mean, I think part of the reason people love Iron Maiden so much is, yes, the music's awesome, but if they had shitty covers and shitty branding, they would not be as big as they are. Like, I just can't see it, because why would we rally behind something that just looks so faceless on some of these covers? And
Fair.
I'm being critical, but like,
It's a good point.
you know, it makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think the first couple of Halloween albums, up until Keepers 2, were so successful? They've got two periods, and the Keeper covers they match together, yeah, and the first two they match together as well. They kept the logo all over the career, but with the fourth album, they started to change, and they started to change the cover art. They kept the logo, yes, but
Yeah, I started to go like CGI digital style, but then there was it was a clunky phase of time for a lot of that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
the early Halloween stuff has like awesome like fantasy painting kind of style, and that's like the fan base that's appealing to. But yeah, I think a lot of those covers lost the plot in terms of like trying to attract new fans.
yeah. The same with Blind Guardian. They always kept the logo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the covers changed a little bit. Okay, the first two are, yeah. Let's put them out of that ranking. But they've got these Andreas Marshall covers. But even that, he changed his style a little bit after the Tolkien album.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
You have
that
Go ahead.
changed the band.
You have to really kind of keep in consideration too where the era these bands are coming from. Bands like Halloween and Blind Guardian. What are their influences? Iron Maiden. I mean, it's pretty obvious with like Halloween and Gamma Ray. You got Fang Face, who was, you know, kind of Kai's Eddie. So they're going to keep their logos very similar. If it's a good logo, you don't need to change it. A lot of these other, yeah, like that Psychotic Waltz logo, it works really well, but it's
Yep. Wade wanted to see the shirt, so that's why
oh,
I'm
right on.
changing the camera.
Just don't ask to see his pants, Wade. That's a
What
we're
pants?
gonna get, yeah, exactly. We're gonna get demonetized. That's what.
Or remonetized?
Yep. The money coming in might triple if we start doing that. But all right, where are we at here? I went to the bathroom and I'm lost.
I
Jurgen-
just was
Jurgen was
asking
a
two
good
questions.
question. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Covering.
What did you show, Jurgen?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Jurgen's up then.
I've got a band that used two logos from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they used those two logos until Into the Pandemonium. After that, they went for that.
Mm.
No change in musical style, no change in outfits, but yeah, they just
Someone needs to teach that guy how to zip up his pants.
Oh my gosh.
So out of all the albums you've sold, that one remains on your shelf. Cherry Orchards.
You know what? I love the album.
Awesome. You know what? I've come across people over the years that love that record. So it has its fan base. It has its fan base.
It's another one that could be worse. Yeah, that it could be worse. We'll just leave it at that for now.
How much better can you get? I love, and I'm not kidding you, I love Slippery When Wet.
That's hit after hit. I mean, it's
Yes.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That Cold Lake is not slippery when wet. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He was trying to be slippery when wet, but he was more, dirty and dry on that one.
I like it's just frozen solid.
Yeah, something.
If you combine the simple riffing of a Celtic Frost classic and combine it with a Slippery When Wet, that's why I love that album.
I'm trying to
man.
hear in my head Tom G. Warrior singing "Living on a Prayer."
Oh god.
I can't quite figure out where the grunt fits.
That would work out, believe me.
It does. I just it's not quite coming together in my brain yet, but it's going to. Like at 3 a.m. tonight, I'm going to sit bolt upright in bed and just be like,
Living on a
"Oh, we're almost there." Living on a prayer.
living on a
I
Simon
am
says.
dangerously close to making this work.
Yeah.
Next time I meet him, I'm gonna ask him to sing me that song.
Oh boy. All right, Alan.
I'm still trying to make it happen. And it's got time to walk away. Time to walk away from that idea. Let's go on. Even the chat's stealing my stuff now. Thanks, Jack. So my last one for the night left on the stack is Samael. Yeah, they had it's readable, but kind of spiky and all. Works pretty well. Like it. But then after Ceremony of Opposites, this happened.
A lot of things happen there.
A lot of things happen there. Yes, drum machines happen and fonts happen. It's just like, hey, you know what would be a great idea for our album cover? The third album cover from Fate's Warning's Night on Brocken. Let's just do that again. Because it worked so fucking good for them on that third
Perfect.
attempt.
Yeah.
This was one of those albums I was, excited to have come out. I liked Ceremony of Opposites a ton. And it was one of those things when I saw this album, just like, oh, I don't know about this. And it almost worked. Like the opening track on this, Rain, I love that song. That is just intense. And then there are some other songs that come after it, and I couldn't name a damn one of them if I tried. The rest of the album has never clicked for me whatsoever. Rain, I love to death. The rest of this album sounds like the cover looks. Shame. Now, I like some of the later stuff after this. It's not that I quit Samael cold turkey. Some of the other albums, Eternal and Solar Soul and stuff, they're not things I play very often, but when I do get in the mood for them, I'll break them out and play them a couple of times and enjoy them. So it's not that the change in direction completely didn't work for me, but yeah, the font, the cover here, just yeah. And this is another case where it's like, did you really need to move away from that? And maybe this doesn't quite fit for the electronic kind of direction the band wanted to. Maybe this is too metal for them in that new phase. I'm not sure.
I would have loved another album in that vein.
One more album in this vein would have been really, really cool. I agree. But no, they moved on, and I think that's highlighted by the fact that the albums after this change a little bit, but not a ton. The fact that you've got the first 3 albums are all kind of different from each other, and then they just immediately like, okay, here we go, we're home, and we're staying here. It's like, okay, so be it. But yes, Samael is another pretty glaring font logo change there on the 4th album, and that is the last one I've got.
When your
So-
drummer says, "I have a great idea. I'm a good drummer. I'm gonna stop playing drums and start programming them," and the rest of the guys are like, "Great."
Hey guys, picture this: me not playing drums.
Still getting
but
paid.
still collecting the same amount of money. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right, Marty, what you got to start wrapping this up?
I can end with this one.
Samuel is back again playing old school shows with a band lineup,
Really?
a 3-piece here.
Oh wow. Original lineup?
Yeah, I think Masmisheim is in the band again. Yeah, as a bass player for those shows.
That's kind of cool. That's awesome.
They are called War with dots in between.
War?
Mhm.
Huh. That's never been done before.
That means worship and ritual.
Huh.
Huh?
Aha.
Get it?
Bloody ritual and yeah, worship him. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Clever. Clever, those boys. So did the brother decide to program drums for this and just stand there looking evil?
No, he's actually playing the drums.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. All right. Jurgen, did you go? Whose turn is it? Is it my it's my turn.
It is yours. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go with another, from the era of Bolt Thrower and the era of Carcass, we've got Napalm Death. I've always loved this logo. It's kind of a great logo, and they've proven, is it great? No, but you can stretch it out and make it along the top if you need to. It's versatile enough. But
Yep.
as the band moved on, they adopted more of a death metal vibe and more melodic notes, sense to their songwriting. Their stuff started getting really kind of modern looking. And on this, oh my God.
Oh, the worst.
Absolute worst. And this album is so groovy and weird. I know people love it. It just never sat with me when it came in. Hi, dog.
Yeah, some of those albums are pretty cool. I haven't
Some of
heard
these are
them in
pretty good.
forever. But yeah, the look of them is.
They just have
cool.
such a what is it? This is the 90s, late 90s.
I think
God,
late 90s.
Yeah, you're mid late '90s. Fear, Emptiness, Despair is probably '94.
This just looks like a 90s era of Photoshop. What's going
Yep.
around? You got this one here.
That's
has,
exactly what it is.
This has got a little bit of drawing in with it. It looks like, or maybe it's just an adapted. They messed with it on the computer. You got some illustration in the background. It's just too many mediums colliding in one spot to make just a visual salad of modern digital shit. I don't know. Just not a big fan of it. But yeah, Napalm. I think they're back to using this logo, aren't they? They have been for a while. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
They already started in the early 2000s to use that again.
Yeah, they've been consistent with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like a lot of the new Napalm Death stuff a lot. That last album, I forget the name, but the one where he's grabbing the dove, man, that thing was pretty ambitious.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I don't have the one too with the meat packaging on the cover.
Apex
camera.
Predator.
Yeah, I don't have that one either.
Yeah.
I've got the one with the saxophone shit on it. I don't know. 3 albums ago. I'm 3 albums behind with Napalm. I just find that I've got all these and I don't ever listen. I'm never in the mood for Napalm Death. It's really weird. And when you go and you watch them live, I mean, Shane Embury plays with them sometimes and sometimes not. But it's just weird how the brand has survived, because it is, even with Shane Embury in the band, there is nobody that's an original member in that band.
Yep.
None. Nobody.
Yeah.
And Shane Embury is the oldest one, and when he's out on health stuff or doing whatever he's doing, it's like a tribute band. Barney, he's been in there forever, but
yeah,
it's just a brand. This is the perfect example of a brand living on. This tells me Kiss. I've seen a couple of Kiss tribute bands. Well, one Kiss tribute band over the years. I was drunk as shit, and they were awesome. It was like I was watching Kiss in 1977. I'm like up front, woo, fake Paul Stanley, I love you. If I had panties, I'd throw them at you, type of shit. It was great. I caught his pick though. It was awesome. Anyway, so I mean the tribute band could live on. Napalm Death is kind of a. How did I get off on this topic. I don't know. It's the PBRs talking. Sorry. Yeah. So that I could show one more. I have one more here, and I'll be done. Is that cool?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Kind of clunky, but I always kind of like the original Enslaved logo.
Mhm.
When they were evil, they weren't ever evil, but as they got a lot more proggy, they streamlined it to this. And their big prog experiment, that Monumentation album, the logo isn't even on the album. It's just a painting on it. And I wanted to grab some of these albums and say bad things about them because their logo changed, but let's be honest, some of this shit rules. Like Below the Lights, that's just a font, and that album rules. Rune, I love that. I love Vertebrae. I mean, great. Issa, holy shit, what a great record. Aesthetic choices. That's where the logo changes for aesthetic choices. Even though the band has changed a lot over the years, they still sound like Enslaved. So you have to give them credit and props for that. All right. It's a vision to behold, trust me. The band was called Kiss Army, and they played at the Leelanau Sands Casino like a half hour away from my house. I lost a bunch of money on slot machines, wandered drunk into the auditorium and watched Fake Kiss, and they were great. It was great. So much fun. They played all the songs I wanted to hear, better than the real Kiss. Anyway. All right. So
I lost my driver's license watching an Iron Maiden and the Judas Priest cover band.
Oh no.
Right?
Yeah, 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
okay, everybody's running out of stuff.
I'm out of bullets. It's all
Jurgen,
you,
do you have
Jurgen.
anything you want to show here at the end?
Bring us home.
Three
There we
Oh, yeah.
go.
obvious ones.
James
Yeah.
was just asking for it. Yep.
They used that in a couple of variations. So
All of
that
them
is
rule,
the
too, by the way.
best logo.
Away was such a amazing. You should get him on Heavy Art Talk. Get Away on. Have you reached out to him?
I haven't. Does he speak good English?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even not. Yeah.
You
I
get him
think-
to promote his book and all this art book and all this other stuff. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, he's on my list.
Yeah, talk to him. Please do it.
That would be a great because some of those didn't he like paint one of those like the first or second like Roar on a pizza box?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Roar.
And that book is awesome. I
have
love
not
that
seen it.
Martin Popoff book with all the unreleased artwork and the first drawings he did, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just great.
Oh, I didn't know Popoff was involved with his art book. They were selling it on the tour when I saw them 2019 or something.
I'm gonna show it to you in a minute. But my second to last pick.
Go on, go down. Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
yep.
That is pretty much the same as that one, but they changed when they changed singers.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Grimmett. Rest in peace.
And the last one has to be a German band.
Great album.
After that, they released that.
I know, but I like that record. It's very Killing Jokey. I was surprised when I got it. I was like, "What the hell is this crap?" But I fell in love with it. I think it's a great record.
I'm still on the what the hell is this crap step.
I like it.
I love it.
It's cool that folks dig it. Yeah, I never could.
Yeah,
connect to
but
it.
they as they reunited, they went back to the original logo.
Yep.
Even though Mark Greve was not involved.
That's a bummer. That's a bummer. Great voice.
Yeah.
Classic
What is
Death
the
Metal
title
voice.
of the Away art book again? Folks want to know in the chat.
Words away. I'm gonna pull it.
Go grab it.
Sure.
Everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. It's been a fun topic, and this is one of those topics we could probably revisit. It's like I only touched on a portion of different logos, and obviously we're being nitpicky about an aesthetic, but it gets us to talk about records we maybe haven't talked about much. So,
Yeah, I had tons of great ones pulled until everybody stole my shit.
well, you know, snooze, you lose. I'm the one how could you? I'm the one up following up the rear. How the hell are you losing it?
I
I'm
feel like I'm
sandwiched
always
in the
stealing
middle,
his
so
stuff.
you have people in front of me are taking my shit. Folks behind me are taking my shit. People in the chat are taking my shit. Yeah,
We ruined Lee's printer.
it's tough being me.
Was it Wolves in the Throne Room that I stole from you? that the one?
Among others, yes, sir. I'm like,
happened
nobody's
last
going
time,
to think
too.
of Wolves of the Throne Room. No one's going to remember they used that other cleaner logo.
All right, Jurgen, you find it?
Yeah. That's the book.
There it is.
That is the German edition. In English, I think it's called Voivod and the Art of Michel Langevin. And you can read it right there. It's Martin Popper.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it mostly images there, as opposed to words?
Wait a second.
That's a Dream Theater album, Lee.
So
Well
that is the book without the envelope. Of course.
Oh, nice.
Even his logo, his signature rules.
Yeah.
He used to handwrite all those lyric sheets back in the day. So fucking cool. Oh my god,
Got
it's
the
so
old-
cool.
Demo covers.
I haven't listened to Mention Hatros in a while. I need to nerd out on. I love that record.
Where
That
his
Batman theme just rips.
Yeah,
where
really
his
cool.
ideas came from.
Very Drouet looking.
Unused stuff.
Oh, this is a bootleg T-shirt guy's dream. That get a hold of that book and some scans. Holy shit!
Yeah. Unused stuff.
See, I like some of his digital art, but I really am bummed that he focused so heavily on it because his painting was fucking awesome. It was great. The world he created, the character he created, the colors he would use, especially on the first first four albums are great. Absolutely cool.
I'm with you.
The digital stuff has its moments, but like on Phobos, he did combine the two a bit, so it was cool having that a little bit. That album's really good too. No one talks about
Artwork he did for other bands. Yeah, stuff like that. He did a tour shirt for Danko Jones.
Wow. Probot. He did the Probot cover. Didn't he do a cover art for a Probot or Kogel the Exterminator? Was that a band he did stuff for?
Yeah. It's a Spanish band.
Yep.
Old logos that were never used. So I think this book is pretty much the money you have to pay for it. It's great.
Yeah.
Huh.
I wish I bought it when I saw them on tour. Think about it now. But yeah, I'll
If you
be
ever-
digging into that.
If you ever get the chance, Lee, I would advise you to do it.
He would have
Yes.
been walking around the show carrying a book, though, looking like a guy, some dork that's in a font club.
That's very, very early drawings.
Wow, that's awesome.
And it has even the very first drawing that Away did. He was writing a Christmas card to his grandmother. And on the other side, he drew that.
Huh.
And you can, early on, you could see his style.
Right on.
So,
Cool. Well, thanks for showing that. Very awesome.
Yep.
And fun episode as always, and great turnout in the crowd. Everybody, thank you for joining us and hanging out and chatting with us, sharing in the conversation as always. Lee, Jurgen, you guys rule as always. Thank you for joining Alan and myself. Is there anything you would like to promote or say before we jump out of here?
I mean, check out my channel if you're interested in the art behind, basically the t-shirts that you buy, the album covers, everything that's involved with metal. That's what the channel is all dedicated about. It is very art centric. So while we talk about music, it's like it's probably 25% music, 75% art and illustration. But if you want to just even just watch one episode and just be like, wow, there's this much love and care that goes into these things, you can at least get that from it. So even if you're not going to be like a regular viewer, but that's what I'm trying to fill the gap in and educate people on and empower this industry, which is, under threat all the time with budget constraints, AI, everything. But that's my mission statement. So I'll just put that out there.
Right on. Jurgen, you got anything coming up?
No.
Alan, what's your Tuesday look like?
Probably, digging into some old obscure US demos on Tuesday.
Oh, that's right.
And hope folks will enjoy checking that out. Next week we will work out. We have kind of caught up on scheduled shows, so we'll be reaching out to some folks for guests. We're coming into the holiday season. It can be a little harder scheduling guests sometimes, but we will be here on Friday night doing something fun with a fun guest for sure. And just like we have tonight, Jurgen, Lee, thank you all so much for joining in on this topic. It's always fun to hear from you guys. And even if you steal all my examples, it's awesome to have you here and keep us on our toes.
Show notes for the show. Wednesday night, we will be doing a viewer's choice episode, and what was voted on is Creator's Extreme Aggression for the album club. So that's going to be a fun conversation. And I picked that. That was my pick. Kellen picked Poison. Look what the cat dragged in. So
you're looking for a new co-host is what you're
I was looking.
me.
I was going to pick something else, and when I saw that, I'm like, I bet if I pick Creator Extreme Aggression, which is one of my favorite albums, people will swarm to that, and thankfully they did, because Poison was second.
I know we did Terrible Certainty a long time ago. I kind of thought y'all had already done Extreme Aggression.
No, we've done Terrible Certainty. We have not done Extreme Aggression.
Okay.
No. So that'll be a fun one.
Did Poison ever change the logo?
Probably.
See, everybody, just be. Don't answer this question. It's a trap. Jurgen's using this as profiling material. Because if anybody knows for certain that Poison changed their logo, he is going to tell you to leave the hall.
So I just want to put it out there in case Kellen is listening, which I'm sure he's not, that he thinks he won some big victory with Eternus thinking it was black metal, and obviously it's not. But he is the guy that picked Poison, by the way. So I don't know how that fits into what I'm trying to say, but that means something in some universe, some dimension that means something. Just saying. Okay. That's it, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you next week, of course, on Heavy Metallurgy. Cheers. Good night. Don't hang up, guys.
Chicken.